Hello and welcome to the MotorMotion E-Series Player1 GT3 Championship, of course, sponsored by Player1 Sim Gear. And go and check them out, www.p1simgear.com.au. They're Australia-owned and operated. Check them out online. They've got everything to do with sims out there. Big thanks to them for sponsoring us here at the GT3 Championship. And of course, Trackspot TV, bringing you all the broadcasting and commentary today for professional-grade immersion, graphics and overlays, commentary, and multi-platform streaming. We are the proud broadcasting partner of MotorMotion E-Series. Check us out on www.trackspot.tv. Head over to www.motormotioneseries.wordpress.com and get yourself involved. Articles, news, and upcoming signups for 2026. It is 3 rounds down and the 4th round now upon us. It is the Nürburgring GP, a great course to go racing. 50 minutes here, and Group A and Group B coverage for your viewing pleasure today. Looking forward to those other rounds. We're coming up towards the halfway distance in this series, but today it is the Nürburgring, and this is going to be an intense race because we have notes that it's going to be wet out there today in the early morning as well. So it's going to be cool out there. It is going to be wet. And of course, that means that all racing tires are permitted. Bold strategy if you want to jump onto a slick today, I think. So no tires are mandatory for the race. Tuning prohibited. As always, drivers will be allowed to adjust their brake bias. And taking a look through to the weather as well, I tell you, this is going to be very, very intense. It is cool out there. It is rainy. Feels like 8 degrees in the shade, but probably feels like 8 degrees everywhere because it is overcast, and some big wind gusts out there going to really challenge the drivers to do what they need to do. So that's an R05 preset weather, cloudy with rain, and of course early morning. In the commentary box today, my name is George Cook, leading you through today's action for Group A and Group B. I'm going to be joined by Andrew Scott for both Lobby A and Lobby B. Andrew, welcome in. This is a tough round. Nürburgring, always difficult, whether it's dry or wet, but in the wet, this particularly becomes a particular challenge.
Yeah, g'day George, g'day viewers, and absolutely you're correct there. I can see the rain is falling, viewers, and so it's going to be a wet start to the race, and it could dry out at some point, George, so that's really going to throw a spanner in the works for the race strategists and the team engineers on the pit walls. And it's going to be really intriguing today to see those wet rain specialists come to the fore, and maybe some of the wet rain not so specialists also, who shall remain nameless, that might head towards the back of the pack. So could be some new fresh faces at the front of the field as we get set to go racing here today, and I am excited to see how it all pans out.
Yeah, it's nice sometimes to have a wet round or two within a season. Just mixes things up, and as we know that some babies, you can toss them in water, they float. Some of them do not float, which is why you have an instructor there. Mad Turtle on top in terms of the team titles as well, closely followed by Hooncorp Esports, Gridline Racing, Aster, and Black Crows, all in the mix for that top 5 at the moment. I think Gopi Mahindra still leading the elite title. Glenn Mead in charge of the pro title. Joe Rudinsky has been as dominant as Gopi, in fact more dominant than Gopi in the Pro-Am title, and leads us away. And then Jack Finch, on the back of a couple of not ideal results for him, he is still in charge of the AM title. Let's get to our qualifying results for Group A. Guy Barbara, who switched in for Lewis Atkinson, who's still on the mend after a nasty real-world accident on his BMX racing. He is obviously recovering well, but Guy Barbara stepping in, huge substitute for Hooncorp Esports, and this is going to be a good one to push them ahead in this series. He's on pole position in the Hooncorp Supra, a 158.2, not quite as distance from his nearest competitor, Matt Donetti, lining up in P2 for CP Motorsports, only 0.167 of a second between them. Then it is Nick Pfaff. Now he is a distance behind, a 59.2, nearly a second off the pace of Guy Barbara. Then it's Gopi Mahindra, our current elite level driver, championship leader in the elite category for Gridline Racing, 1.7 seconds off the pace here. Real split between the top 4. Joinson in 5th, Luke Stone in 6th, Nick Pautasso in 7th for Mad Turtle. Airborne starts ahead of Andrew Scott, the man in the commentary box here, who has no claim to anything around wet driving, that is for sure. But then it is Big Bruce the Shark, Matt McCullum, Water Arrow Spark, Dubzito, GLR Scotty not having a good day out for Gridline Racing, and then Chris Farapapa in 16th position. Going to be a good one. Andrew, predictions here. Obviously, you've been in the race. That's not a great qualifying position for yourself, but Guy Barbara and Matt Donetti out front by nearly a second in qualifying.
Yeah, there was a drying track there at the end of qualifying, so those that got the timing right and came into the pit stops to put on the soft tyres, had the best of the conditions and were the ones that set those fast times. So it was an interesting qualifying, but there were some winners and losers out of it for sure. But it's interesting, George, the cream always rising to the top there. Funny to know, but the World Series drivers also turn out to be good drivers in the wet, don't they?
Funny that. Don't know how that works, of course. Don't think I've actually seen a wet race in GT World Series. We've seen a snowy race, but I don't think I've seen a wet race anyway. It is Jointson on top for the pro category today. So Guy Barbara leading elite. Jointson qualified 5th. Very good time there. Got it all right. And he's a couple of positions behind his teammate, Nick Pfaff. Ladies and gentlemen, in chat, welcome in. You're watching on TrackSpot TV, YouTube, and the MotorMotion E-Series YouTube. Give us a like and a subscribe. Really does go a long way to help supporting both the league and the broadcasting. And give us your predictions as well. Who do you think is going to finish where? Ret racing is a tricky thing to predict. So I don't think we're in any position here to make any predictions today in the commentary box. We don't want to curse anyone. Anyway, it is time to go down onto the grid. Let's get this started. We'll see you out there on track. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, it is a wet start, and I think we've gone green. There we are, green flag racing, and we're away. Guy Barbara leads us into turn 1. Tricky part of the course to start out with, but this quarter, as long as you can defend the inside, you should be invulnerable from a lunge, an early lunge up the inside. So it looks like Guy Barbara has gone through there nicely in the 7.22. Matt Donetti holding off Gopi Mahinajit. Mahinajit up one position already, as we've had a little bit of an accident off the line there. Someone has dropped back massively. Gopi Mahinajit 3rd. Luke Stone has found his way up into 4th position, and Nick Pautasso as well. Great start off the rolling start for both of these drivers, as is the case with Ando, up from 9th position to 6th in literally a couple of corners. McCullum in 8th, Bruce the Shark in 9th, and then, of course, it is Water Arrow Spark. GLR Scotty still holding out the bottom of the grid at the moment. And I think if we scroll down, who is in last place at the moment? I think we've got a couple of heavy hitters. It is Nick Pfaff and Jointson. Both of the Aster Racing cars have had a dreadful start off the line. No damage on the cars, but they are down in 15th and 16th position. And they've started on the racing softs. Unbelievable, Ando.
Wow, that's incredible. I did not see that one coming, George. They are going to be tiptoeing through the tulips here. It doesn't look like the rain's going to finish anytime soon either. So quite an amazing strategy choice by those two cars.
Yeah, it's going to put them at a huge disadvantage. Intermediate tyres used by the rest of the grid, and no one opting for the wet tyres at this point. Not quite wet enough for that. 3.3 meters a second gust coming up from a southerly direction at the moment. Pautasso, what a start he's had, and this is great for Mad Turtle Racing. They are leading the team's title. They've got a lot of work to do to stay ahead of Hooncorp, especially with their super sub Guy Barbara. But intermediates surely is the call here. They must have either seen something on the weather radar, the Aster Racing guys. They might have a supercomputer attached to their weather detection system.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see if they can keep these cars pointed straight now, and whether this strategy call is going to pay out or not, as we look to see they're not coming in. So it was definitely a conscious decision, as we see is that Ando there trying to come alongside Nick Pautasso, who is indeed a bit of a wet specialist. They're mad turtles, not mad tortoises. These guys love the wet conditions as he goes for a move now into turn 1.
There we go. There's Big Bruce the Shark, and that was Water Arrow, I believe, trying to make the move airborne now in the middle and struggling a little bit into that first corner, the MR car. The Porsche just having a little bit of a struggle there. Black Rose Racing got Spark in the mix as well, and right behind them Scott Taylor trying to make these moves early on. He's really quick into the corners at the moment. Precision driving in the wet from Scott Taylor, as we do see Chris Futterpapa taking an alternative line through it into 4. Tricky zone to get right, Ando. That turn 2, 3, 4 Mercedes Arena, not easy.
Yeah, there's a few different choices of line, and as the track dries out, they're going to start leaning on those curbs a bit more as well, and it's a question of who is the bravest in attacking those curbs as the track dries out.
Indeed. So we just saw on the screens for a moment the Aster Racing guys. They are several corners behind at the moment and losing pace hand over fist at the moment. It's not a good situation for them, and they'll be hoping that this track dries up enough for them to find a crossover. We're currently sitting, I think, somewhere in the 2 minutes for lap times on board shot now with Gopher as we head through one of my favorite corners. Absolutely love it. And then you sweep to the right, get your foot down as early as you can, but you know, you got to really brave the curb on that one. Now you're down towards the main back straight and barreling, I should say, in towards the NGK chicane. Good on-board shots here. Is there an opportunity for Gopi into the chicane? We shall see. Guy Barbara, he knows how to defend at a track like this, that is for sure. A brave amount of curb taken there by Gopi.
Yeah, the inter tyres are now coming up to temperature, and they're providing some sort of level of grip. And while you're on wets or inters, you can abuse these curves. But I tell you, George, once they switch onto slicks and the track dries out, they're going to want to watch themselves on those curbs.
Certainly are on-board shots with several drivers there. Gopher Mahinajan, let's have a look at what he's going to be able to do into turn one. No opportunity to get a move on Guy Barber at that point. He has managed to make the overtake, of course, on Matt Donetti, who started second in this race for CP Motorsports. And I wonder how this Ferrari is going to compare in the wet at Nürburgring GP. Of course, we got a parity in the way of BOP here, but every single team running its own different car here today.
Yeah, and the different cars have their different strengths and weaknesses around the track. We've got two FR cars there in positions 1 and 2, and Donetti's just seems to be biding his time there, George. I think he's saving a bit of fuel, short shifting, and he's just looking after his tyres, because I think they're going to have to go long on these inters, so they don't want to wear them out too much. But if he can just stick with them and stay in the slip, I think he'll be happy. But it looks like they're starting to edge away from him, so let's see how he goes.
Tricky course, of course, for the Supra. What, one long straight, the main pit straight, and the back straight. So technically two, I suppose, but the back straight not quite as long. So the Supra can stretch its legs there. In the corners at the moment, I tell you, this GTR is looking rather nasty. Really able to tuck that front end into the apexes. Able to find that traction where the Supra is really struggling at the moment. You can see how much understeer is happening in Guy Barbara's car at the moment.
Yeah, it looks like that Supra is probably not the best car for wet conditions, and the straights here at Nürburgring GP are not quite long enough for it to stretch its legs and drive away from the cars behind. But there doesn't seem to be the disparity in pace like there was at, say, Brands Hatch, where Twitchy just drove away from the field. They're on the same tyre, they're in the same conditions. They've got to exercise a certain amount of caution, obviously, to keep that that error rate down. And it looks like they're staying with Twitchy now quite easily, and that's going to make things really interesting, and to see who pulls the trigger first and comes in for slicks. As right, I think the rain, George, is starting to abate.
Oh, okay, so that is a big news, and that's good news for Aster Racing. The question is, how quickly is it going to become a track that is applicable for the slick tyres that they are unfortunately on at the moment, that have started on? It must be a team strategy at this stage. We can't imagine it was two of the same team drivers making the same mistake. You see a few drivers down that main straight taking the alternative line, trying to actually keep basically keep some water on these tyres. Very important at this stage, as the tyres will wear out quickly, as Ando's alluded to a couple of times. Here's Nick Pfaff in 15th position. He's actually not too far. If we look at it objectively, he's not actually too far off the back of the pack, but he's so far down from where he started at the moment. Of course, Joynson is a little bit further down behind him in 16th position. Here's Water Arrow also on the intermediates, but clearly didn't get the start he needed, or has made a mistake somewhere. Was actually up battling in the pack previously. Scotty in 11th place following Black Rose Racing's Spark, trying to get into that top 10, which is essential for those extra points you can get. Last laps there, 205.3 Ando is what I noticed, and then for Nick Pfaff, it's actually a 203. So there's a couple of seconds delta there. I think Nick Pfaff may be catching up relatively shortly.
Yeah, so the soft tyre, as we see, that the line is starting to dry out, but it looks still quite damp to me. But if the lap times are there, those soft tyres for these pro-level drivers at least might be starting to cross over, and he might be able to start making some inroads and get back to where he needs to be.
I mean, the advantage of the strategy that Aster are executing right now is that they do not need to pit twice in this race. Unfortunately for Matt Donetti, we're going to have at least 2 pit stops because he's going to come onto the slicks. And if there's any chance later on in the race that we get some more rain coming in, they'll have to pit again. And they'll have to pit again for fuel regardless of the tire choice. So Go from Hinderjit now moves up into first position, followed by Nick Pautasso, wanting to stay out there on their intermediate tires for at least one more lap. They'll be looking for the wet line. Danetti, Barbara, Stone. Luke Stone was leading our pro category here today for just a few moments. Now it is Bruce the Shark. So both of the Mercedes staying out at the moment on track. And interesting choice. Do you think this is a little bit early? But given the lap time delta, if the guys on slicks are doing 2:03s and you're out there doing 2:04s, 2:05s, oh, Luke Stone has made an error on the entry of the pit. And that's a 3-second penalty for him. So, this is a disaster. And there is Matthew Jointson, who he's battling in the pro category. Matt McCullum wants a piece of this as well. Can't quite hold on to that position. And Jointson, this is where things have flown out. Oh, my goodness. Matt McCullum has also picked up a 3-second penalty. Now, Stone and McCullum will have the better tires in this situation. But you can see that it wasn't quite as illogical as we were thinking, maybe for the Aster Racing guys, given that they're out in position.
Yeah, it looks like they haven't lost really too much track position at all. Obviously, these guys are at the back of the field now because not everyone's come into the pits, but we saw a couple of the leaders there going into the pits on lap 5, was it, or the end of lap 4, and this track is really drying out now, George. So the soft tyre is what you want to be on, and this is what we're seeing now. The rolling of the dice is happening, and those that are going to stay out on intermediates right now are going to be leaking oil, but they're going to be hoping the rain's coming back. I'm hearing inklings from pit lane that the rain is still hanging around, George. There's quite a chance that it's going to rain again. So those that have pitted for slicks are going to have to come in again, and that's going to ruin their day.
Wow, that will ruin their day indeed. Quite a gaggle of cars here as we're seeing the grid, all sorts of a mess right now. This guy Barbara leading the pack at the moment. He's got Gila Scotty Spark. He's just overtaken Spark. Beautiful maneuver there from Guy Barbara to overtake the pro driver just behind him now for Black Rose Racing. Scotty is in the mix of this. Airborne's in there as well. Fastest lap to Matthew Jointson as we see Gopi Mahinajit and Big Bruce the Shark, Glenn Mead coming into the pits for the slick tires. This is going to be a fascinating race, especially if the rain does return. See a number of drivers still on the intermediates. They're all looking for the wet line now. If they don't get that, the tires will just be absolutely shredded. That indicative lap time from Guy Barbara was a little bit slow that lap. Oh, there's Matt Danetti. He's trying to get on through and fight back because he doesn't want to have these cars there while he's on the medium tire. He needs to cut through this field nice and quickly to catch up to Guy Barbara, who he was separated by less than a second for some period of the race. Oh, inside line there. Got to be careful on the mediums. Those curbs will be the last thing to dry out on track.
Yeah, Guy managed to slice through those intermediate runners like a knife through hot butter. A little bit of seal clubbing going on there. And unfortunately for Danetti, who's his main rival in this race by the looks of it, he is still stuck in traffic. He's going to have to clear the wet running drivers just as easily as Twitchy did. Otherwise, he's going to lose too much time.
Indeed, Gopi Mahinajit was the one that lost out. Staying out for longer on the intermediate tyres has cost him track position quite substantially. He's behind both Danetti and Guy Barbara by some distance and still has to navigate not only the pack he's just cut through with Nick Pfaff and Chris Papa, but also the pack ahead, Dubzito, Airborne, Scotty. So he's got a lot of work to do to get himself back up into the position he was. He was challenging almost easily, I would say, for the race lead during the wet stint on the intermediates, and a little bit wide there from Scott Taylor in the pro category. Gridline Racing's GTR. And yeah, and we've got a mix of tires in this pack at the moment. Intermediates, as you can see right now, are absolutely shot. So yeah, as you said, Ando, leaking oil right now, and those on the intermediates have lost out big in this race.
Yeah, as we see, Patasso comes into the pits here on lap 6, and it looks like he and myself, who comes in as well, we stayed out a little bit too long. So did Gopi. And it looks like those that went onto the softs early have really made gains on the cars around them. And I think myself and Nick were out there on lap 5 and 6 doing rain dances like crazy. We were hoping that rain would come back, and it hasn't, unfortunately. So in I go, and we're going to tumble back through the standings here as we spent just a little bit too long on the wet tyre.
Indeed, yeah. So that's a critical decision, a tough one to make. Always difficult out there on track. So let's see, where do you filter back out? It is going to be in 11th position. So you can see Nick Pfaff now challenging for 5th place. Oh, there's contact between him and Gopi Mahinajit. Nick Pfaff wanted the inside line through 4, but the room was not given by Gopi Mahinajit, and he holds onto the position, albeit with a rather dodgy-looking slide, induced, of course, by the contact with the rear portion of his car by Nick Pfaff. Jointson right up in this battle as well on the racing soft tyre. The question really is now, Endo, with these guys' strategy at Aster Racing, they're going to have a tyre deficit to the rest of the field. So will they be able to maintain this charge they're on right now, or are they going to end up in a nasty situation, Airborne getting overtaken by Gopi Mahinajit, and Nick Pfaff will be next?
Yeah, their net position looks good. It looks like that choice to start on the slick tyre, the race was a valid one. They're doing well, and their tyres won't be too much worse than their competitors, because when you're on a wet track on slicks, the tyre wear's not really there. Someone's around.
Big accident. Nick Pfaff has tried round the outside, and it's not gone well from him. He's spun out. He's picked up damages. Through goes Matt McCullum, and luckily GT7 has ghosted them. The speed differential was enough to put the ghost in. Thank goodness for that. Nick Pfaff, I tell you, Airborne was holding on. He was on the intermediate tyres, very bad intermediate tyres as well, and was very slow on the field, but decided to go defensive, forced Nick around the outside, Ando, and then he's had a spin basically all on his own.
So totally entitled to do that, even though he was on a much slower tyre at the time. Airborne was defending, which he's totally entitled to do. No blue flags there. And I think he's just forced Nick Pfaff onto a little wet patch on the track, and around he went. So they're all squabbling over the dry portions of the track here, and that's what's causing these little comings together.
Exactly, you can see it right there on track. You can see the darker grey areas, that indicates the wet. So there is only one car depth essentially on the racing line at the moment, with the drying line still evolving on lap 8. Guy Barbara with a 58.5 in wet conditions on racing soft tyres. He's a man on a charge and probably won't get too much screen time today, let's be honest, because he is well in the lead already. If only we'll see if we've got some changing conditions that may shake things up. But at the moment, he executed the strategy well, came in early, came in at the right time, got the advantage, and actually cleared a number of the back marking cars as well. So was released into clean air and now can go and do these amazing lap times that he's putting in. We were seeing 203s, 204s, so he's 5 seconds a lap quicker in these conditions on the racing softs than he was on those wet intermediate tires. Matt Donetti able to do a 59.8 on the racing mediums, so he's chosen the slower tire there. I think he must be thinking to go a bit longer in this slick stint.
Yeah, his tire wear's looking obviously a lot better than Twitchy's, than Guy's. So Guy's going to have to think about pitting again this race. I think Donetti is going to have to as well because of fuel. But he's just worried about tyre wear and the mediums crossing over with the softs at some point. But we saw there the Guy was leaning on the curbs beautifully. He was using all the track again, as we see Gopi's doing the same there through the final chicane. They're starting to lean on the curbs now, and they're having some faith. So expect to see these lap times tumble even more.
Indeed, yeah. So you've got to balance the confidence, though. It looks like Gopi Mahinajit was having a little bit of a confidence issue through the NGK chicane, but he has been cutting that confidently all race logs so far. Now the question is, how can he balance that with what the car is going to end up inevitably doing? Airborne jumps into the pits, changes out his intermediates. It's a very, very late pit stop, and I think it's become an inevitability with the state of the tyres. That last lap, a 207.9, he's nearly 10 seconds a lap slower than the leader on the field, and probably at least 5 seconds slower than the rest of the teams out there at the moment. I think, unfortunately for Airborne, that's a big miscalculation in this race.
Yeah, the softs or the intermediates he was on were very worn, so you don't want to be on that sort of tyre. They're basically melting underneath you when the track's effectively dry, and they're well past their use-by date, those inters.
Yeah, so he filters out in 15th position, only Water Arrow behind him. He's picked up more damage. So Hasel1 Motorsport's not having the day out that they would have been hoping, but certainly Water Arrow in the weeds in this race. So Riley Nicholson in the number 7. And he's got damage to the front of the car. He's got damage to the right-hand tyre ahead of him. Spark in P12 on the racing softs now. and we'll be able to start trying to charge up to Dubzito, who he's just behind of at the moment. Dubzito and Ando have been separated by not much on track for a while. Ando, you've just run wide there, and here comes Dubzito. Yep, you've been got.
Yeah, you can see I'm on the mediums, so I'm going long and I'm saving fuel, and I'm going to try and make it to the end of this race now without having to stop again. So that's my strategy. Don't know if it was the best one, but we'll see how that pans out. But I could become a bit of a cork in the bottle to these hot running soft tyre runners with.
Yes, indeed. We will.
No fuel concerns.
Yeah. Indeed, yeah, we'll keep an eye on your progress through that, because that's the only other way. I mean, when you have a wet stint like this, you basically +1 the strategy for pit stops. That's what we're probably going to see from the likes of Glenn Mead and several others up in the field. Where you started on the intermediates, you had to come in for the slicks, and then you're going to have to go back in for at least one more pit stop for fuel at the very least, unless you do what you're doing and try and save. That's Water Arrow, I believe, coming out of the pits there. We're on board shots with Glenn Mead at the moment in his Mad Turtle Mercedes, and looking nice in the lines at the moment. Racing soft tyres for him. He's got Nick Pfaff ahead. Nick Pfaff, remember, just had that spin, picked up the damage, sent the back of the car into the barrier. So he'll be in all sorts of trouble at the moment. When the MR cars get rear diffuser damage, they do get rather wily to control out on track. And especially in these conditions, you're wanting all of that aero grip that you can possibly get. Go from Hinajit ahead of him. He was one of the late pit stoppers from the intermediates and from the top pack. And unfortunately for him, that's not worked out as well. Anyone who stayed out on the intermediates longer than lap 5 has massively lost out in this race. And Gopim Hinajit has actually picked up damage as well. So he's had an off throughout this track. And he was being, I thought, overconfident on those racing softs. He was being pretty confident on those curves. I wonder if that's just gone awry. 2:15 the previous lap there. So he has had a major incident there, probably quite similar to what we saw with Nick Pfaff.
Yeah, I don't know if that was maybe battling with a slower car or whether he did it on his own. So we'll have to find out post-race what happened there. But that's obviously cut his chances down massively of staying on that podium today. And as we see Nick Patasso, who's going hammer and tong now, he pulled in the pits the same time as me, and he's going for it, whereas I've fallen way back because my strategy is not looking good at this stage. Basically, I'm trying to run on vapors to the end of the race. I just don't have enough fuel to do what I was hoping. But Nick now is, as I said, a wet running specialist, a drying track now. He's really good in these conditions as well. He may well have a bit of a win out of this, and he's probably loving the conditions right now, George, just going for it and taking those risks with the car. But he somehow managed to keep it pointed the right way, and he is very quick in these conditions.
Yeah, I think if he was here in the commentary box, he'd be modest as he usually is and say he's okay in the wet, and he does enjoy the conditions, I think. And I think internally he's going, yes, this was my round. So either way, we're looking at Joinson currently leading pro category at the moment on the racing softs, trying to actually keep some coolness in the tires and keep them a little bit wet. So that's interesting. It's an attempt to essentially extend the life of these softs as much as possible. You can see in the last few corners he's having a few issues with traction at the moment, but this is great. He is well in the lead for pro category. Matt McCullum is the one he's technically racing. You see him just coming around the top right part of your screen there into turn 9, I believe it is. So there is a possibility for Matt McCullum to challenge today, but at the moment it's Joinson's game. Donetti ahead of him, Guy Barbara still in P1, of course. And here's Matt McCullum on screen right now in the red liveried CP Motorsports Ferrari, doing well, and obviously on a 2-stop or something like that strategy, racing softs at the moment. Just as we came through the last corner, I did notice that the car's window wipers for Nick Pautessa did come on. Now, there are some graphical glitches in GD7 whereby you do see the window wipers come on when there's no rain. At the moment, just want to confirm for the viewers, there is no indication that the rain has currently returned.
No, I think the pit wall race engineers are watching those weather radars like crazy. The rain is still about, but as we see here with Twitchy going through the Mercedes arena, it's very, very dry still and no signs of the rain returning just yet. Although they're going to have to watch those radar screens, George. It could come back at any time.
It could indeed. Onboard shots from the rear view mirror. As you can see, no one for Guy Barbara to be worrying about at the moment for Hooncorp. He's got half-decent racing softs out there and has set a new fastest lap of the race, a 158.0. Small excursion there onto the gravel, couple of tyres dipped, so watch the grip as you come into this next left-hander. There is Jointson. Keep an eye on him today. He's in a real box seat today. I'm surprised at the beginning of this race you heard me bemoaning the strategy decision that Aster have made today, but they have clearly looked at that weather radar and made a very, very good call. And if it weren't for Nick Pfaff's spin, he'd be up in third position and potentially driving towards Danetti to challenge for a podium.
Yeah, what a day out these guys are having. Jointson absolutely killing it here, up there in third place outright. And the strategy that they chose seems to be working beautifully. They're really having a day out today here at Nürburgring.
Certainly are. And this is actually big for Matthew Jointson in terms of the overalls. He's about 30 points off Glenn Mead at the moment for pro titles. So that's Brucey. He's currently down in 8th position. So a really good finish today will give him some really well-needed and well-deserved points in the overall pro title championship. It'll move him up above Scott Taylor and potentially get him right onto the back of Matt McCullum, who's on about 109 or so points at the moment. So this is big for the championship in pro title for Matthew Jointson, and this kind of gap he's built is looking very, very solid. The question is going to be, can he maintain these lap times? Just 2 minutes all the way through. Whoa, big slide there through the chicane. You can see that he is really struggling on grip, but we'll see if he maintains the consistency in this lap. But as you can see, 2-minute 2, 2-minute 5, 2-minute 8, 2-minute 5, 2-minute 02 flat, but so a little bit of an outlier there. But very good consistency from Matthew Jointson today, and clearly have prepared correctly for the conditions.
Yeah, and we've hit the looked like the 25-minute mark there, so we are exactly halfway through this race. And yeah, he's going to have to pit again, obviously, but so is most of the other cars. So that track position we see there is real. It's a net third outright, so he really could get a great result here today. As we see Danetti now clear air there running in second place. He's obviously not anywhere near Guy Barbara, who has just cleared out once again, showing his class there with an absolute perler of a strategy choice, I think, and driving his Supra beautifully. But Danetti's looking pretty good here too in second place, clear air. His mediums are lasting well, but it's fuel is the problem for him. He's going to have to pit again, and he might actually leave a bit of meat on the bone there with those mediums as well. He might have to pit well before those mediums are anywhere near fully worn. So he might be ruining that decision to go for mediums. But all in all, he's looking good. His main rival's probably Gopi, who's still well back in fifth, and he's got some traffic to clear too if he wants to get back up towards the podium.
Yeah, exactly right. And the softs seem to be the right choice. For whatever reason, Matt Danetti has decided on the mediums. He might be able to avoid changing tires at the pit stop and just put fuel in for the rest of the race. So that might be the thinking from Matt Danetti, but it'll leave him with a massive tire disadvantage at the end of the race. Most likely everyone else will be thinking about going racing softs again. No mandatory tire here today, so it really comes down to what you feel comfortable on and what you think is going to elevate you on the grid for this race, as we see another confident line taken through the chicane by Gopi Mahindra. It's still holding the damage, of course, heavy damage in this series, so when you get it, you hold it until you get into the pit stop, and then you'll be costed about 2 or 3 seconds depending on the level of damage you have picked up. Matt McCullum in behind him on the racing softs. They're starting to wear out, but yeah, just another comment on the Aster Racing guys. I mean, they have clearly calculated that by the time the slicks actually come into their own, they've not lost the same amount of time it would take to do the extra pit stop. So that's the beauty of this strategy. Nick Pfaff, though, deciding it's time to come in and get rid of this damage. It's costed him huge amounts of lap time. Should be running in the 2 minutes or the high 159s, given his teammates' pace at the moment on the racing softs. And he needs to get that damage repaired. He needs to get this car in working operation to find his way back up to the grid. So this is going to be a longer stint for him. He'll probably go full fuel. And you can see the car getting repaired at the moment. We'll keep an eye on what tire he does decide to jump back on. But yeah, the pit stop here is relatively long, Ando. So the less pit stops you can do, I mean, usually that's the case, the less pit stops you can do, the better, but certainly at Nürburgring, you want to be avoiding that as much as possible. And Aster's strategy has put them in a situation to only do one pit stop in this race. Racing softs for Nick Pfaff. No surprise.
Yeah, there you go, soft. So that is definitely the benefit of starting on softs. And they're in the window now, George, too. So Donetti could be coming in soon as well. I'm hearing he's on the radio. He's absolutely hating those mediums. He wants to get rid of them. But they need to be in the window so that they can get to the end of this race now on one set of softs and obviously the right fuel load to just go hammer and tong now and try and make up some places between now and the end of the race. So they're in the window. It'll be really interesting to see now who decides to come in for fresh softs.
Indeed. So through the chicane goes Matthew Joynson. Nick Pautasso has been catching him up over and over. Will it be a pit stop this time? Nope. Excuse me. Will go again for another lap, probably trying to make it to at least half an hour through this race, and then just do a 20-minute stint at the end on the soft tires, give himself a bit of pace and ability to overtake on the soft tires. That said, they've done nearly 30 minutes on the soft so far, so it's worked out quite nicely for them. Or maybe they're thinking, let's try and extend and hope that there's not rain at the end of this race, and if there is, they can make their strategy a wet one. So I tell you, they're playing the game right now of strategy very, very nicely, and staying out for Matthew Joynson, while he probably will lose this position to Nick Pautasso, who's also on the soft tires but with plenty of fuel in the tank. It doesn't matter for the overall race. Pautasso is racing in the elite category, Joynson is in the pro, so at the moment just hedging your bets is basically what Joynson is doing, and I think that's really, really smart given the circumstances.
Yeah, well, I'm intrigued that they must have thought about it, going for the undercut now on Pautasso and maintaining that third position and being on the podium today. That would be a huge coup for the team, and I'm really intrigued why Joynson stayed out there. I hope it doesn't hurt his race result too much, because his tyres are really worn and he is leaking oil at the moment this lap to Pautasso.
Yeah, let's keep an eye on it. If his teammate Pfaff has come into the pits, you can imagine that they understand that a 30-minute or even 32-minute stint is possible with the softs and a full tank of fuel. Guy Barbara comes into the pits, his teammate Luke Stone on screen right now, and is doing his best to try and make it back up into the situation where he can take some more points away from those around him. He's currently 5th in the pro title, sitting about 10 or 12 points or so off the back of Matthew Joynson in 4th position. He's got Nick Roberts for Black Rose Racing at Spark to worry about, though, who's right hot on his heels, as is Michael Brill at Zito for Lightning Motorsport. So he is needing to make sure he finishes up above these guys, as we do see Joynson finally make the decision to come into the pits on tires that are basically gone. So about time. Let's see if this works out for him. Guy Barber, of course, in the pits, and he'll be going to the end of this race as much as he can, hopefully. We'll see what happens with the weather. As you've indicated a couple of times, Endo, it's still hovering over us. Guy Barber out. Not a full tank of fuel.
No, he's worked out how many laps this race is going to be quite perfectly, and he's going to be on fire now. He's got low fuel, fresh softs, and an effectively dry track still. The rain has not returned, so these drivers that pitted early off the wet tyres and have been running slick tyres for the majority of the race, they are reaping the rewards now because the rain has not returned. And Guy Barber there, who's set a 57.7 now in this race, George, just absolutely on fire. He's at one with the car. He's got it driving beautifully around here, and as long as the rain doesn't return, I think the race is his to lose.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, twitchy all racer. That's what he is. Here's Gopi coming out of the pits. He's repaired the damage, and now he's got Nick Pfaff. So the return to the battle, these two both basically having a similar incident out on track and actually getting almost identical damage to the cars. They find themselves in 12th and 13th on racing softs. Slight disadvantage in tires for Nick Pfaff here, but about the same in terms of their fuel, and Gopi Mahidajit will be hoping to stay ahead of the Aster Racing car now going towards the end of the race, and they'll both be seeing what they can do. Some good lap times coming in from Nick Pfaff now that he doesn't have the damage. Donetti into the pits on the medium tire. Critically, we need to see whether or not he does change to a different type of compound for the slicks. Got only 7 liters of fuel in there, so Nick Pautasso will come on through and be the new leader of this race in probably in a few minutes' time. Guy Barber right behind him. Then it's McCullum, Zito. McCullum currently leading in the pro category. That's because he hasn't come in for his second stop. Patasso does decide it's time as Guy Barber. You can see the advantage he's got. He's already going down the main straight with his last pit stop, or hopefully last pit stop completed in this race. So he is leading by probably at least 20 or 30 seconds in this race already. It's impressive, and it's basically what we'd expect. There goes Zanetti out onto the medium. No, it is racing soft tires. Okay, I was really worried there for a second, Ando, but it is racing softs. That is the right decision for the Ferrari driver.
Yeah, he's got plenty of tyre now to get to the end of the race, plenty of fuel, and he's going to look to just solidify that P2 today. And yeah, it'll be a question of what if. I don't think it would make a real difference if he had been on softs there instead of mediums, but I think he's now saying that maybe those mediums were the wrong choice. So he could be a bit further up closer to Guy now, but I don't think he'd be challenging him for the win today. Guy's just been too good. And we see Dub Zito now in third place on worn tyres and low fuel, so he's going to have to pit again. And interestingly, you can see myself there. I'm up in fifth, so I'm on the mediums. I'm trying to get to the end of the race on fuel. I'm going to become a bit of a cork in the bottle here, and there's going to be some guys on fresh softs and higher fuel loads that are coming at me like spider monkeys, George. So this is going to get interesting too.
Yeah, you may well get swamped. The barrel of monkeys on the way as Joinson tries to force Scott Taylor out of the way. He's right on the rear bumper of the Nissan. So this is going to be close quarters racing here. Joinson needs to make this work. He's given up a net third position in this race after executing his strategy, and he needs to clear Scott Taylor as soon as possible and then obviously get past you. And right now he's dealing with 2 corks in the bottle, 2 layers to get to your alcohol. That's not what you want, but Joinson's going to have to make that one work. Scott Taylor will be trying, of course, to get past you, Ando, as soon as possible as well. This is a great 3-way battle happening through here. We're on board shots now with Matthew Joinson, and he's dicing left, dicing. Whoa! Oh, huge moment on the inside curb as they head onto the back straight there. That's going to cost him a little bit in this race. Might give Scotty the breathing room he needs to get past you, Ando. What's the strategy thinking here at the moment from yourself? Do you just intentionally become the cork in the bottle? Do you just hold the racing line? Are you going to be giving up positions at this stage? Another slide for Joinson. He's pushing hard.
Oh, absolutely. I've got net 5th position here, and if I can make this work, track position's obviously king right now because the track, as we've seen there, thanks Mr. Joinson, is still wet in places. So you've got to sort of watch those wet patches still. So that makes overtaking a slower car that much more difficult. As we see, we dive into turn 1 now. Scotty's trying to make it around the outside of me, but it doesn't work for him. And Joinson, very opportunistically, he's turned him round, George. A little bit keen on the loud pedal there, and he's put his opponent into the grass, and he's redressing, which is good to see.
It is good to see, but that's an unfortunate error there from Joinson. It's cost Scotty massively in this. Nick Pfaff, though, benefiting. He's going to come on through, and Chris Farapapa is also going to come on through. So it's about 4 or 5 positions lost for both of them. Joinson, I think at that point, has essentially thrown away what could have been right up there on the podium for himself and potentially thrown away a really good win in the pro category. So that's a massive error. He did redress the position. We know he's a great sportsman, Matthew Joinson, but yeah, it was a mistake. He tried the cut back into turn 1. It didn't work out. And now we see Gopin Mahinajit overtaking Campbell Knowles, airborne, for 5th position. So now you've gone from one gridline racing car to another. And I don't think you'd like either of them in your rear window. But I tell you, Gopin Mahinajit, he's probably not going to make that quite as easy for you on this one.
No, and I tell you what, who else won out of that little exchange? It was yours truly. I'm still up there in 4th now. I'm looking in my mirror with a big grin on my face right now because I'm saving fuel. I'm on worn mediums. My pace is not good, but I'm going to try and make my car as wide as possible, which I'm totally entitled to do because there's no blue flags being waved right now. So these cars behind me, and look at the train of them, George. I've got an absolute train of cars behind me. They're all on soft tyres. They're all trying to battle each other and get past me. So this is going to get spicy. But if I can hold on here, P4 would be a great result for me today. But that is still yet to be decided.
Yeah, you've got a gaggle of geese coming at you. You walked a little bit too close to their children, and they're coming after you. But, a couple of clever hand maneuvers here or there can probably defend. There we go, big send or attempt, certainly a psychological ploy there from Nick Pfaff, trying to put Matt McCullum offline into turn 1, doesn't succeed. Matthew Joynson is catching back up to Nick Pfaff, so he's made it past Scott Taylor, who's unfortunately having a bit of a shocker now. He was in a good position, but that contact has left him all sorts of out of order. He obviously didn't have the pace relative to Joynson for this race, but still unfortunate. Really gutted to see him basically turned around, luckily not into a barrier. Rear view of Matt McCullum's car at the moment. You can see how much pace Nick Pfaff has. What a send that is. It's too ambitious though, and he does make contact. Can't get the car slowed down on the apex. Bit of a push to pass there, you'd argue, but a valid send, and he certainly sent it on the inside.
He's had a lunge there and he's pulled it off, but McCallum not happy. We saw him flashing the lights. Might be expecting a redress there, but yeah, that was a real lunge there. Like, you know, he pulled it off, I think, but that might end up going to the stewards. We'll see. And we see myself there. I'm in 5th still. I'm holding on, but these cars right now are catching me hand over foot. And I'm just hoping like crazy that they'll fumble over each other like they've done right there.
Oh,
right
dear,
on cue, George.
Nick Pfaff has become a bit of a wrecking ball in this melee that is going on, and he's made contact with Campbell Knowles. That's P8 now. He's been sent sideways, essentially off the track. Now Matt McCullum wants to attack back on Matthew Joynson. Nick Pfaff has actually picked up damage as well, so he's a fast driver, but that was way too opportunistic in this race, and unfortunately for him, his mistakes that he's made today has put him in a situation where he has to be in this gaggle, this pack of attacking geese, and he's unfortunately made a bit of a mess of it through that corner, just going a little bit too quickly and not accounting for the fact that he's around drivers that don't have his ultimate pace. There's Scotty in 10th, victim of the other Aster Racing car, Matthew Joynson. So the Asters have all the potential today, but they're making the majority of the mistakes out there on track and costing themselves and others on track. There's Glenn Mead, who is the leader of Pro title, but not leading Pro today. He's just making his way around in the Mad Turtle car by his lonesome at the moment. Only got Michael Brill behind him for company at the moment. Let's keep an eye on that battle pack as things are continuing to move. Where's Ando in this pack? Obviously, Gopi Mahilajit has moved on past, but we're eager to get back to this battle and see what's happened. Yeah, here we go. Joynson has made his way past Ando, so not as effective a cork of a bottle. Unfortunately, not able to hold that very fizzy soda in at the moment. Matt McCullum will be the next one to try and make a lunge on the Hasel1 car. And you're taking those inside lines, but Matt McCullum here has got the pace. Will he be able to hold around the outside line? They're very difficult to do so. So I think you'll hold on for at least another couple of corners, and Schumacher S is coming up. Should be able to hold off the Ferrari. Bit of contact there. Matt McCullum wants to force the issue.
Yeah, he's getting racy with me here, and he wants to clear me. It's obvious to all the cars around me that I'm on worn mediums and I'm fuel saving. I'm just holding them up here. I'm trying to defend and legally defend, but the pace differential is huge. And I'm doing all right. I'm happy with 6 right now. As we see McCallum now, we're going up to the chicane here. We'll see what happens here. He's going to make his move, I think.
He has indeed. Overspeed, and that's a relatively easy pass. No, you're not making it easy for him. Oh, there we go. You've not made it easy. There's a bit of contact through the chicane. He's been run wide, and there goes Pfaff as well. Oh, dear. Yeah, once you're off the line, that's it, and everyone wants a piece of the biscuit.
That was elbows out right there, so the stewards might be looking at that one too, but I am the real loser out of that exchange as I got pushed onto the grass and I lost 3 positions there in one foul swoop.
Yeah, indeed. So, yeah, the strategy has not worked out for you at all this race, and all the soft runners coming on through with plenty of fuel to burn and plenty of tires to burn as well. And it's an awkward position to be in. And unfortunately, yeah, that puts you down in 9th position. Ahead of you now, Campbell Knowles. Nick Pfaff has managed to make that move on the Black Rose Racing car as well. And now we'll be attacking CP Motorsports and see if he can get past Matt McCullum and get his way back up towards 5th position. So Gopi will be running away with things up there in 4th position. Joynson has managed to make it back to 5th, despite the contact that he had with Scott Taylor. But right now, your top 3, Guy Barbara, Matt Donetti, Nick Pautasso, which will be a really good result for Nick. Not his first podium of the season, but certainly one that he knew that he wanted to get, especially in conditions like this where he does flourish. So look at those lap times, 57.4 is a very respectable lap time in these conditions on worn racing softs. Guy Barbara, though, keeps pushing the boat further out and keeps moving that finishing line. A 55.9. He is unstoppable, and this just shows how clean, consistent a driver he is, and how well he knows how to maneuver these GT3 cars around Nürburgring.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm seriously impressed by that sort of pace now. The track is effectively dry, and they're using all of the track now, so hence the lap times are tumbling. But yeah, I'm impressed by Nick's position today. He's had a really good race. Some of his direct competitors have had excursions and little bits of damage here and there, so he's jumped on that opportunity to get a podium today, and well done to Nick. And Gopi's really come back well as also George with his little adventures today. To be sitting there in 4th position is a really good comeback.
Agreed, especially with the damage that he picked up as well. He just hasn't made as many mistakes as others on the grid, and that's it. Especially in these conditions, it really is about how few mistakes, not necessarily your overall pace. If you're on the level of alien that Guy Barbara is in overall racing, lap times obviously do start to matter at that point massively. As you can see, the gap between him and Donetti still quite substantial out on track. But Donetti today also just absolutely swimming in water. He is like a fish in water. He has done beautifully out there on track. The lap times have been consistently in the 56s, which is great pace. So clearly a master of the Nürburgring, clearly happy to be in these conditions today. And he's finding his feet. We know how quick Matt Donetti is. We all know. And he races on so many different platforms. His experience has been getting better and better and better. He continues to thrive. And this is evidence of that. And he is, I think, slowly etching his way towards the alien status. Hasn't quite yet become a GT World Series driver, but I feel like it may be in the future for him. Anyway, before I commentators curse his entire career, I'm going to stop talking about that. Let's talk about Matt McCullum, racing soft tires, in a good position, 6th position. He is chasing after Matthew Joynson for the lead of pro category. So this is a big, important battle because Matt McCullum is currently sitting 2nd overall in pro title, has got a good lead over Scott Taylor and Matthew Joynson, but he'll want to have Matthew Joynson in his rearview mirror, and that'll be a huge moment for his championship title contention.
Yeah, these pro drivers seem to have had pretty good races today. Them all on different strategies, as we've well seen there with the Aster Racing drivers starting on softs. Very, very sporting choice there of strategy, but it looks like it's worked out well for them. And Joynson now holding on to 5th outright, and he's ahead of his rival McCullum. Can he hold on to it for the rest of the race? Let's have a look at their tyres and fuel. McCullum's looking pretty good. And if we might jump on board with Joynson, we'll have a look and see what his tyres are looking like. They're not quite as good. So I think McCullum's now creeping up. He's edging up on Joynson here. And can he get past him, George? Can he make a clean move? They've been a bit aggressive, these pro drivers today, haven't they, George? So can he make a clean, legal passing manoeuvre on Joynson here to get those points?
Exactly. And will there be penalties handed out to either of these two, whether it be at the end of the race or during the race for track limits? It's turn 4 especially, very easy to do it if you do run too wide, and that's the temptation as a racing driver. And the pro category today, yeah, has been very, very spicy. And as we sort of alluded to earlier on, the wet conditions can really surface a number of drivers who haven't had the best results throughout the current season. 3 rounds down. We're on round 4 at the moment, of course, here at the Nürburgring for this 50-minute race in Group A. And Joynson, the winner currently of that, certainly in terms of the pro, but a little bit less fuel on board, I think, for Matt McCullum from what I could see there. So he is pushing hard, and he needs to obviously catch up. If he can put his car ahead, he can do a little bit of defensive driving, a little bit of fuel saving at the end of this race, but only 3 minutes to go. So it's going to be this lap and probably 1, maybe 2 more in this race. So if Matt McCullum's going to do it, he really needs to do it now. Use all of that fuel. Cut every single curb you can. You might as well take the risk at the moment. 3rd place in pro is Airborne, Campbell Knowles. So, no, he's not that thing Airborne. And actually, correct me if I'm wrong, is actually elite category. Yes, he is. He's the elite category driver for Black Rose Racing. So, no risk here for Matt McCullum. I think he's in a good position. You might as well take the risk at this stage.
Yeah, he's going to send it, that's for sure, and have a crack at Joynson. And I bet you I'm not his most favourite driver right now, because I held him up big time there and cost him a lot of time, where Joynson was able to clear me pretty much as soon as he got onto my rear spoiler. He was able to clear me, but I definitely held up the likes of McCallum and Airborne quite a bit longer. So apologies for that, Matt. But racing's racing, and my strategy was my strategy, and I was doing all I could to stay up there. As we see another battle ensuing between myself and Bruce the Shark now. Bruce is on soft tyres. He's got a little bit more pace than me, but I'm just defending like crazy as yet another gaggle forms behind me, George.
You're the popular man today, that's for sure. Everyone wants the positions you're holding right now, and they want the accolade of saying that they've overtaken Andrew Scott, the tyre whisperer. So yeah, Glenn Mead, the next one up, and he's got Michael Brill right behind him in P11. So it's a 3 or 4 way battle, because you've got Scott Taylor in there too. So all of them will be wanting to get ahead of this Hasel1 Motorsports car today. Michael Brill on very low fuel, but we only have 1 minute and 8 seconds left in this race, so he's absolutely nailed it in terms of the amount of fuel on board. Has Michael Brill. He's right on the rear bumper of Glenn Mead. Glenn Mead is one of those overtakers that will only do it if he can guarantee himself an overtake. Doesn't like to be forcing the issue. He's a very, very clean driver, is Glenn Mead, and currently, of course, in the lead of the pro title. So not the result he was looking for today. Is that a move maybe down the inside? It is, and he's actually made a little bit of contact, but Ander, your tires are screaming at the moment. Oh, and I tell you, that is big Bruce Shark. He's been hit as well by Michael Brill, who's come right out of the gates there and has tried to challenge, and he wants to take a 2-for-1 here. He might well get it, because Ander, you'll be a little bit slower down the straight here. You'll hold the inside line, so only the outside through the chicane, which he'd have to be very brave to do. Now, they all make some good decisions going into the chicane there, but Dubzito, opportunistically, with a little bit of a push on Glenn Mead, does find the inside line just before the straight, and he'll be the one to have an attack. Ander, you might actually hold on to this. We've got 10 seconds left, so Guy Barbara will be on the lead lap. No, Michael Brill says, no, that was not fair by me. He's out of fuel. He is out of fuel.
Yeah.
He is out of fuel, and we're on the final lap. So, and that was actually 2 cars that we saw on the straight going very, very slow. I'm hoping we can switch back to that before we get to the end of the race, but we shall see. Guy Barbara is coming round through the NGK for the last time, as Water Arrows picked up a problem there. And yeah, we've got a whole bunch of cars going very slow on the grid. I wonder if they've actually finished. They've actually finished the race, because the timer is up. So there we go. Some results for us as Guy Barbara comes around the last corner, and it is going to be his for the win. The checkered flag is properly out now, and there we go. It is over. Guy Barbara for Hooncorp wins 2 in a row here at MotorMotion E-Series. The Super Sub in the 722 Supra. He is won again by some margin. And it's going to be Matt Donetti across the line for P2. He's happy about that. We talked about him wanting to secure that, and that is one of his best results this season in amongst a very competitive Group A field. Nick Pautasso a few corners away from finishing up in this race, and he's nearly out of fuel as well. But Matt McCullum, I think he did get across the line, so he secures that position. I think he did maybe run out of fuel just before the line. He lost the position to Joynson. So anyway, we'll continue to review the results after the race, but Pautasso takes P3 in this race. Joynson with a 0.5 second penalty won't cost him much more in this race. Matt McCullum back up ahead of him, hasn't run out of fuel, so that is not the case. Oh, he's gone very deep at the chicane. Is there an opportunity for Joynson into the last corner? No, not by the looks of it, and that 0.5 second penalty anyway going to negate any overtake that he could do. So Matt McCullum will actually somehow come back from this one and pick up the pro category win today at round 4. It'll be Joynson in second for pro, and then Faf and Ando will pick up those positions in 6th and 7th, and it is going to be Glenn Mead picking up 3rd position. Hasn't made the overtake on Ando, but 3rd overall in pro category. A good result and a good way to secure himself some good points. And we'll go and review the race results in a few moments' time as the rest of the cars come across the line and the race is over. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. We will get the results for elite category up in a few moments' time, but a great, fascinating race out there today. The wet weather really shaking things up. Didn't look like we had any rain coming back at the drivers at the end of the race, so those that stayed out there, that was the sensible decision to make. Ando, while we're waiting for the results, why don't you give us a little bit of an overview, give us a summary of what we've seen out there today?
Yeah, that was exciting for the race there, George, wasn't it? I think what happened there was Dubzito ran out of fuel, or he was conceding the checkered flag there because he knew he didn't have enough fuel to go around again. And that released McCallum and Joinson to actually get over the line just in time for one more lap. And then a battle royale ensued, and McCallum did indeed get by Joinson there on the very last lap. So, yeah, interesting to see the cream rises to the top once again, George, doesn't it? Those regular names there at the top. And, yeah, Nick Patasso, great result back up there on the podium where he belongs. And driver of the day-wise, I'd say I'm probably going to have to give it to Nick. I think he's had a great race there. He chose the same strategy as myself at the start. We came in on the same lap. And then I chose the wrong strategy from then on out. But Nick went for it. He did two relatively short stints on softs to get himself up there into third position outright. So well done to him. He's my driver of the day.
Fantastic. Yeah, we might have to have a sarcastic best strategy of the day handed, obviously, to you for that one. But that's okay. This is what it is. The end of the race for Group A. It is the elite driver standings, or the results, I should say. Guy Barber, of course, 35 points to his name, and pole position, of course, as well. So the extra point going to him. Matt Donetti in P2, followed by Nick Pautasso, Gopi Mahinajit, Nick Pfaff, Andrew Scott, and Campbell Knowles. So, yeah, good overall in elite category. We'll have a look at pro in a few moments' time. There we go. Matt McCullum obviously taking that win there, and a really, really good drive from Matt McCullum. Matthew Joinson in second, Glenn Mead in third, followed by Scott Taylor. And what could have been today for Scott Taylor? It always seems to be his luck doesn't quite swing his way in the race. Michael Brill in fifth, Nick Roberts for Black Rose Racing in sixth, Luke Stone in seventh, and eighth to Chris Faripapa. So not the day out for Lightning Motorsport, really. Obviously, we're running two pro drivers in this series, not able to get themselves an elite category driver this season. So that's why there's 7 results for the elite, and why there's actually technically 9 for the pro category. 16 cars out on track today. My driver of the day is going to go to Matt McCullum. Good drive. Really secured it, and things didn't necessarily go his way all race long. Some scrapes with some drivers there, so not the cleanest of drives, but overall, I think a good job there. So, chat, let us know who your driver of the day is, and we'll figure out who wins at the end of the day. We've got Andrew's prediction in, mine in as well. And that is going to be your coverage for round 4 of Group A, Elite and Pro. Really spicing things up. We've got one more race to go before we get into the halfway distance of this series. So all the points are especially important, and nice to have a round that really shakes things up in terms of the wet conditions. We are going to go and take a 5-minute break, so stay tuned. Go and grab yourself a cup of tea or a beer or whatever beverage you like, and then return to us in 5 minutes, and we'll see you in a few moments' time. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back from our short 5-minute break there. It is Season 3, Round 4 here at the Player1 Sim Gear GT3 Championship at MotorMotion E-Series. Broadcasting brought to you, of course, by TrackSpot TV. It's been myself, George Cook, and Andrew Scott in the comms box today, with John Wright behind the scenes on the tools today as well. And he's been doing an awesome job for us, literally broadcasting from Scotland. Really impressive. We'd love to have him here. He is a masterman on the broadcast tools. So very proud to be here broadcasting as TrackSpot TV. And of course, check out our primary sponsor, Player1 Sim Gear, p1simgear.com.au for all your sim racing needs. Australia owned and operated. They do a fantastic job, so go and check them out. Ando, we are back for Group B. It's time for Pro-Am and Am, and if history tells us anything, Ando, it's that wet strategies at Nürburgring, or any course really, with the excitement of a Group B race, we are in for something special today.
Yeah, Group B, our favourite lobby once again, and now we've got the wet conditions thrown into the mix. I'm really keen to see this one play out. And as we know with this game, R05 is the weather setting, but there is still some randomness to the way the weather presents. So this race might play out completely differently to Lobby A, and we'll be, just like the team engineers, will be watching that weather radar like crazy to see who rolls the dice, who plays it safe, who gets the strategy right, and who gets it wrong.
Exactly. If you called 5 5s, but it's actually 6 5s, oh dear. You're playing a dangerous game. So that is the nature of wet weather racing. The strategy calls will be absolutely key. Let's have a little refresher on what we're expecting for this round. Of course, it's going to be 50 minutes out there today. Wet tires are, of course, are allowed. No mandatory tire out there. In terms of the standings, Am title leader Jack Finch with Chip Berry on his heels at the moment. Then in Pro-Am, it is Joe Rudinsky. He's been absolutely brilliant all the way through the season. Top marks for him at the moment. Mark Hasel1 on a bit of a charge back through the field. So basically, even Stevens in terms of the difference between Am and Pro-Am and the differences between the top two drivers. Bob Massey leading in, well, currently in third place for the Am title, and Marcel Albertin for Black Rose Racing in third for Pro-Am. So it's going to be an exciting race out there. I think we're pretty much ready to go. Although, Ando, do you want to throw a prediction our way? Any of these drivers in particular standing out as good drivers, and then we'll get to our qualifying results.
Oh, look, I'm going to talk up my team boss, aren't I? I really like the way Mark's been approaching his racing lately. He's had a couple of really good results on the trot. He's been putting in the work. He's been active in our team chat. We're talking about strategies constantly with him. And I think he might pull another rabbit out of the bag here and have a really good day out.
Let's see. So the qualifying order is this. It is Joe Rudinsky for not Black Rose Racing. It is Mad Turtle Racing, sorry, with a 159.4, the pole lap there, with legendary Berry, his immediate competitor in the Pro-Am title, 0.146 behind them, very close. Then it is in third place, Mark Hasel1, only 0.3 of a second off the top time there. So close qualifying between the top three. RPM will be in charge of Am class, though, so he is pipped Jack Finch for that spot and qualifies overall fourth with a 2-minute .113, and he is literally a few hundredths of a second clear of Hogues for Aster Racing, qualifying in fifth. And it is the Bundy Drop Bear in the Lightning Motorsport NSX, finding his feet a little bit in this season. Abdul Ming for Whom Corp Esports in seventh position, followed by Richard Robertson in eighth. And for ninth, it is Troy Britnell, a good qualifying for him. Calculated Risk further down the field than we would have expected him in 10th. Jeff Bruin makes his return for Gridline Racing in that GTR in P11. Then it is Aussie Psycho in the CP Motorsports Ferrari, the white and black livery. And then it is Blue Dog in the Nissan in 13th. Aussie Heat in 14th. And 15th is Cosmic. We are missing one driver out there on the grid today. I do believe that it is... well, we'll find the name shortly, but it is CP Motorsports. Benjo. It is Benjo who's not in there today. And he's been replaced by Cosmic, if I'm not mistaken, but we are also missing a CP Motorsports driver. So should be a very interesting race, but Joe Rudinsky showing his colors again, but will he be challenged in this strategy calls he has to make today in the wet conditions? And as Ando said, dynamic stuff happening out there. So I think it's time to head down to the grid and get Group B underway. Here we go, off the line and waiting for the green light. 4 lights on and 4 lights green, and we're away racing. That's a good start, intermediate tyres for Joe Rudinsky. Legendary Berry right behind him as Hasel1 files into order. Doesn't want to be caught offline there as RPM sends it deep, as does the Lightning Motorsport car. A little bit of contact there. And Mitch Collin has made a great little move on Hogues, and Jack Finch in there too, trying to make up positions. Am-Class, he needs to be ahead of RPM in this race. That's his main competitor at the moment on track, as we just see a Mercedes get slightly awkward into this very, very wet circuit. Looks like it's a little bit wetter out there than maybe it was at the beginning. Oh, we've seen Troy Britnell make an early spin. Unfortunate for him, and he'll be able to get that car going shortly. He's trying to keep the TC on and keep the car from spinning around over and over and over again. Aussie Heat in 12th position. Blue Dog has found his way up to 11th. Richard Robertson going side by side with Hogues, and there's a great battle happening there. Hogues is 6th position now, trying to fight his way back up to the rear bumper of Mitch Collin. RPM 4th position. Overall good start, certainly some wheel bumping going on as we see Richard Robertson and Jeff Bruin go side by side into the braking zone. They've made contact with Jack Finch, and Jack Finch is probably getting sick of getting hit on lap 1. It's happened to him at Le Mans, it happened to him, I believe, earlier on in the season as well. So a couple of times he's really probably getting sick of that. He's on the intermediate tyres, so he should have a little bit of pace around here. But right now, Richard Robertson and Jeff Bruin putting the pressure on our current AM-Class leader. In the meantime, Joe Rudinsky out in the lead in his Mercedes, but Chip Berry wants a piece of the action. He's right there, and a battle for P1 on lap 1.
Yeah, and we see again, George, some soft tyre choices or some soft runners to start the race. Hasn't worked out for Brits Lightning there. And yeah, it's not the Aster cars, I don't think. But we do have upwards of 4 cars starting the race on softs. So let's see how that pans out.
Well, moment there through the chicane for Chip Berry, and yeah, we're being told the last 4 drivers on the grid are on the soft tyres, and that's probably why we saw Troy Britnell making that early mistake. We'll double check exactly who those are. Aussie Heat and P10 on the racing soft tyres and actually holding on a position here. Yes, he's at the back of the pack, but Hogues is there just behind him. So an impressive early decision for the racing soft guys, and we know that if you don't make mistakes, you will find yourself in a good position. Hogues is redressing, I believe they're on Mitchell Collin. I think they've come together. Yep, it is a redress. The flash of the lights saying thank you for being a sportsman. That's what we expect from drivers in this league. It's good to see the sportsmanship happening. Unfortunately for Hogues, yeah, he's made a couple of mistakes through that first lap. Is on the intermediate tyres. Calculated risk, Marcel Albertin on the racing softs. So he has decided, this is Porsches today. So we've had RCZs deciding on the softs for Group A, and the Porsches seem to be deciding that it's and one lone Ferrari as well, deciding that it is time to be on the softs right from the beginning of this race. Mitchell Collin struggling through the Mercedes arena. We'll check who's in 14th and 15th, just double check they're on that tyre if there has been a genuine mistake. So Troy Britnell is on the racing softs, great. We've got confirmation, we're on the racing softs. So, Ando, a few people really rolling the dice on this one early on. If Aster hadn't made so many mistakes that they did through Group A, that strategy would have been absolutely blindingly quick. We've got a few trying to execute it today, but minimizing mistakes in Group B, that's not a phrase that we usually put together.
No, that's right. And poor Brits Lightning there, he's got his work cut out for him now. He's lost a significant amount of time there with that spin he had in the Mercedes arena on lap 1. But I tell you what, George, the track is starting to look pretty dry in sections. I think they're sector 1, I think, down the main straight into turn 1. There is a dry line forming already as we come on into the last chicane here, and we can see the track is drying out. So don't discount those soft runners that are well back now, but don't discount them just yet. They might start to claw back this deficit very, very soon.
Indeed, and that was a really nice line into the last corner there for RPM, making some potential moves on Mark Hasel1 in short order. Definitely a little bit of a dry line starting to evolve in some of the parts of the track, so that is good news for those who started on the soft tyres. Makes them have to avoid that one pit stop. We did see pit stop starting around lap 5 in Group A. The conditions won't be identical, but as you can see there, we are on the dry line right now through the Mercedes arena. So Jack Finch has got the potential to stay ahead now of these drivers, but will he pull the flag, will pull the pin early on this and try and jump into the pits? We see Blue Dog trying to make a move there, the number 6 would be making a move for position on Aussie GTR. He's got the outside line. That'll rapidly turn to the inside line. He'll have good drive out of the corner and a potential overtake into 5 and 6. Keep an eye on this battle. Aussie Heat, though, Ando, has held on to 10th position and is on the racing soft tyres. He is absolutely in the box seat for a great strategy call today if he can minimize the mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. He is looking good, and I think it's time for dry tyres, for slick tyres here, George. Let's see if any of the front runners come in now. They really, really could put a stranglehold on this race right now. I think it's time.
Yeah, it may well be, and I mean, they'll have to navigate some traffic out there, but they'll have clean air for at least a period of time. Certainly right now, if Joe Rudinsky, our current leader, came into the pits this lap, he'd be coming out in clean air with soft tyres and basically try and do a Guy Barbara, which is what he's been emulating Guy Barbara, Go from Hinderger all season long. He's looking to continue that today, of course. Blue Dog tries the maneuver there, dancing to the inside, dancing to the outside. Clearly got the pace on Aussie GTR, just needs to basically time the overtake. Aussie GTR moves to the inside line there, where there was a little bit of loss of traction on the exit. We shall see, but no opportunity yet again for Blue Dog to make his way on through as we barrel into the braking zone off the chicane. Very tricky to do in these conditions, not so difficult on the intermediate tyres. No one in the top group has pitted on this lap. They're looking for at least one more.
Yeah, and look at those lap times. The fastest lap only a 2:04, and that is the delta between the softs and the intermediates. In these sort of conditions, they could easily be down around the 2-minute mark. I think in lap pace, if someone decides to roll the dice and come in shortly for softs.
Yeah, I think that would be the right decision. We did see that everyone who stayed out on the intermediates after the undercut had essentially been maneuvered. They all lost out massively. Guy Barbara and Matt Donetti. Well, I think Matt Donetti stayed out a little bit, but Guy Barbara certainly was one of the early pitters. He made that move correctly. It was a smart thing to do. Gopi Mahindra didn't, and I think that cost him the potential run at P2 in Group A. So the sooner you come in, the better. And here we go. Here's Troy Britnell on your screen barreling down into the braking zone at turn 1 on the racing softs. And you can see that water indicator there, Ando. It is now below the third place on the racing line. Sorry, the lower slot, I should say, on the racing line. So at this point, you'd be relatively comfortable on the softs. You can see they're not dancing around on track on those soft tires at the moment. But this will get increasingly more dicey for the intermediate runners as they have to run on the racing line to be fast. And it's going to be chewing up the tires very, very quickly. Joe Rudinsky still leading the race.
Yeah, it is still very risky to be on the softs because you've got to stay off the curbs at this point. But that dry line is definitely formed now around almost the whole track. So very, very interesting indeed to see nobody game enough to come in yet for softs. Surely this lap someone will come in, surely.
I'm really impressed with the foresight of the drivers, both in Group A and Group B, to actually start on the soft tires. It takes a lot of confidence to actually do that. I've only done that once, Ando, in my entire racing career, and it was because I made a mistake. And then I ended up in P1, first time I led laps in a particular league. I won't name at the moment. As we do see, and it's nice for a few laps until you realize that you're going to get overtaken and your tires are gone. We do see Joe Rudinsky pulling the trigger early. His competitors, Legendary Berry, Hasel1, RPM, Robinson, Finch, none of them coming into the pits. This is a great move from Joe Rudinsky, and that is the move that you'd want to steal P1 for the remainder of this race.
Yeah, he's going to have a huge outlap here, and he's going to make time hand over fist on the cars behind him now. So he's pulled off the track in P1. He's now on the soft tyre, the faster tyre. If he can just keep it clean, avoid a penalty there, get back onto the dry line, tip it in now. He's got to be very careful to stay right on that dry line now. But he's now going to be significantly faster than his opponents. But he has got traffic, George. Let's see how this pans out.
Yeah, not the plan that he would have wanted to execute. Aussie Heat is also on the racing soft tyres, so one of the soft early runners, and sorry, that's Mitch Collin ahead of him, my fault. He was, actually, I think we saw Aussie Heat jump into the pits on racing soft tyres and actually picked up a penalty as well. So what was initially good strategy has turned really, really bad, and he's chosen the racing hards as well. No, that is the wrong strategy from what we have seen, fortunately, and racing hard tyres, I'm shocked to see them in use here at all.
Yeah, you just don't have enough fuel in the tank to make a set of hards viable. I can't see any strategy that's going to make hards work. But yeah, I think he just touched that white line on exit because they want to get over onto the dry part of the track to tip it into turn one. But you've got to stay off that white line on the pit exit. I think he got his paddling there for that.
Certainly did, and that's a huge, costly move there. Given that he pitted this early off the racing softs onto hard tires, he's um, kind of hemorrhaged his own strategy early on. So we'll see how that goes. Joe Rudinsky has made it, I think, nearly onto the back of Mitchell Collin. Keep an eye on him. Hasel1 now leading the race with RPM there. We have seen, I think, legendary Berry fall off the back of this pack. He was leading the race. He's made some mistakes somewhere and he's fallen back. So Hasel1, the overall leader at the moment, followed by RPM, then Chip Berry in third position under attack from Richard Robinson. So a true pro-am battle happening at the top here, except for RPM, who is leading from Jack Finch in terms of the AM class. So this is looking good for Mad Turtle Racing at the moment. RPM up there, and of course Joe Rudinsky doing his thing. Joe Rudinsky in 7th now. He's made his way past Mitchell Collin. So good work by him. He needs to cut through that traffic as soon as possible. Otherwise, you risk losing that time. Whoa, loose moment there for RPM. It's pretty dodgy, even on the intermediates. But look at the status of intermediates at the moment, Ando. They're kind of gone.
Yeah, worn intermediates on a drying track. Their lap times are not impressive at all. It'll be really interesting to see what the first flying lap is going to be for Expat, because he is now going to be really, really keen to see how it washes out with his main opponents, Hasel1 and RPM, staying out on intermediate. So he has an opportunity here to really gap the drivers in second and third, and once again put another stranglehold on this race.
Oh, Chip Berry has a moment into the Schumacher S, and Richard Robinson smartly, despite being presented with an opportunity, smartly decides to stay out of it for the moment. You can see how good he is on entry speed right now compared to Chip Berry, although Chip's definitely got the traction out of the corner at the moment, a little bit wide of the apex as they barrel onto the back straight. I'm surprised that we have yet to see more people pit. At the moment, this is swinging Joe Rudinsky's way moment after moment. He is going to be going faster and faster on track, and maybe this is part of the... Whoa, that was nearly a huge moment. Richard Robinson absolutely sends it on the brakes. I think he's really made a huge mistake there, but he luckily doesn't make any contact with Chip Berry. Now Hasel1 pits, now Richard Robinson pits. That is smart. That means that legendary Berry, Chip Berry, who was in second place, qualified second as well, he is in a serious deficit in terms of the strategy by staying out yet again. Luckily for RPM, his nearest competitor, Jack Finch, has stayed out too. So as long as he pits on the same lap and doesn't let Jack Finch get a good undercut, it should work out for him. Mitchell Collin and Hogues also come into the pit as well, and we should be seeing Expat make up some positions on the straight. He has. He's up into 5th position now, as Hasel1 has completely messed up the pit exit. He's put the power down, he's slid to the side, he's facing the wrong direction, and he's crossed the white line as well to top it off.
Oh, wow. My team boss there making a meal of it. And that's really going to make things hard for him for the rest of this race. Now, that 3-second penalty is really going to hurt. And I think he probably lost the best part of 10 seconds there with that little excursion into the grass.
Yeah, it's painful to watch. He was formerly holding the fastest lap of the race as well. That now goes to Joe Rudinsky. A 2-minute 0.5 Ando. So the pace is up by 2 or 3 seconds on the rest of the field.
Yeah, well, that's more than 3 seconds, I think. So he's got warm tyres now. The track's coming to him, and he's in position A1, I'd say.
Yeah, it looks that way at the moment. Hasn't taken a full tank of fuel, so we'll be obviously trying to get to about 30 or 20 minutes or so to go in this race, and then pit again. That has been the strategy from the intermediate runners that we saw in Group A, and so I think he'll be thinking about doing more or less the exact same thing here in Group B. So right now it is game on for Joe Rudinsky in this race, and he's executing the strategy that we see the top guys in Group A executing out there. The question is he going to make any mistakes this race? That's going to be key. He has, I have to be honest, one of the most consistent drivers, if not the most consistent driver in Group B, arguably more consistent than some of those up in Group A. So he is in the box seat right now. it's really his race to lose. Ahead of him, still the pit, Jack Finch, Legendary Berry, and RPM. And actually, just as I say that, they are coming into the pits. So Jack Finch and Legendary doing what they need to do. This is good for Jack Finch in AM class and over RPM, who is technically leading AM class and leading the overall race right now, staying out another lap. This is going to cost him big if he doesn't come into the pit this lap.
Yeah, lap 8 now. So 8 laps on the inters, and let's have a look at what his lap times are. 2:06s. So he's losing 6 seconds a lap to Expat, who's on softs. Look at those intermediates; they are completely shredded at the front there, and that lap pace is not good at all. He's going to lose out, but he might have a little bit of a tyre advantage for the rest of the race, and he might be able to get something out of it. Let's see.
Let's see, indeed. Here comes Legendary Berry, who's gone onto a fresh set of intermediate tires and a full tank of fuel. That is the wrong strategy to be doing. You need to be on slicks.
Yeah, wow, that's a real. He's been let down by the pit wall there. I don't think there's any rain on the radar for the rest of this race, and I think that's he's just going to go backwards through the field here, George.
He must be praying to the weather gods. Please give me some weather. I need some weather. But look at the pace differential as we see Mitchell Collin make it up in one braking zone from being 2 seconds behind right up to the rear bumper of the number 64. And Chip Berry he's going to attempt to be a cork in the bottle, but he does not have the grip to really make that happen as Mitchell Collin misjudges the braking zone and misjudges how slow Chip Berry is going to be out of the corner, somehow avoids some damage to his car. He's going to have to be a bit cautious getting past the car ahead now, given it is on the intermediate tires and will be incredibly slow relative to the field. He's going to go for the switchback and switches again. Will he have the inside line? Yes, he will, and he just easily outbrakes. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is where you see the difference in lap times. It is braking zone, acceleration zone, traction zones. The soft tires just bringing you so much grip on the dry track compared to an intermediate. So there you go. That is why you need to be onto the slicks as soon as you possibly can, because they give you so much pace. So Chip Berry, that's a disaster for him. RPM still yet to pit. He's gone out for another lap. This is really bringing Jack Finch back in for a potential overtake on him in this race. And that would be, of course, for the AM lead. Joe Rudinsky, his teammate, will be let pass, I'm sure, in short order.
And there you go, team orders there. So let's make it safe, Turtles. Let's not stuff this one up. And Expat into the lead. So there you go. Expat's pitted, but his teammate RPM has not, and they're both together on track. So I don't know how RPM's going to make this strategy work. He's going to have his work cut out for him because he's losing time massively to not only his teammate but his rivals.
Well, bear in mind, he was in 4th position overall. So without the pit stop and with the slow lap times, this has put him, well below where he should be. So he's probably lost in the order of 20 seconds overall on track. So if we could we do a run through the grid from where we are now all the way down? That'd be really good, starting with Aussie GTR. And let's just see where we are with these drivers. So Aussie GTR also holding out. That's what I thought may have been happening here. So he's also in the same situation as RPM. He's a Pro-Am driver though, so he'll be battling others on field. That'll put him right down to the back of the grid. Racing softs for Mark Hasel1, but with that spin has put him in range of Jeff Bruin, certainly for the overalls. Jeff Bruin has also pitted, so could this be swinging Jeff Bruin's way? That would be fascinating to see if that's going to happen, but potential there for him. Troy Britnell on the racing softs, so the strategy coming back his way, got his teammate, much faster teammate, I should say, Mitch Collin right behind him, so I'm sure the team owner, Troy Britnell, will be moving out of the way of his colleague in short order. Then it is Jack Finch right behind them. He's put onto the racing softs. He's got a full tank of fuel and he's going for it. And this will be a good lap for him. Chip Berry on the intermediate tires. I mean, he pitted onto the intermediates from intermediates, not the right decision. RPM coming into the pits. Then it's Hogues in 10th. Robinson over in P11 with some damage on the front. Aussie Heat, who was one of the others who started on the softs, but then inexplicably switched to the hard tires. Then it's Calculated Wrist, Marcel Albertin, damage on his front of his car, racing softs, and then Blue Dog in P14 with damage on the rear and racing softs. So only a few out there still on the intermediate tires. Aussie GTR is one, Chip Berry is another, and they are all coming into the pits right now, realizing they have made Possibly a bit of a mistake here. Let's see where RPM filters out. He needs to be ahead of Jack Finch on track to have maintained his position. Looks like he isn't. If we scroll up, yeah, RPM, here we go. He has been overtaken in the pit lane by Jack Finch. Hogs goes on through as well, and he's chosen the medium tire. So that's a 2-position switch in AM title, and 8th overall for RPM for staying out for those extra laps. He will have great tires to the end of this race if he's deciding that. Ando, this looks a little bit like your strategy, actually.
It does, but critically, he's gone a couple of laps longer than I did. So I tell you what, George, this actually could work. He's definitely not going to have to save fuel anywhere near as much as I did between now and the end of the race. So that might be where he was coming from when he elected to stay out. And the same with Aussie here, GT3, his name escapes me, but he's now on fresh softs, and he might be looking to go to the end of the race too, although he didn't fill up on fuel, and soft tyres might be a bit of a stretch to get to the end. But I tell you what, George, have a look at Jeff Brune there up in 3rd position. His last lap was 7 seconds faster than RPM's. So he has really made a good choice there to come in earlier, get onto the softs. He's circulating nicely, and Hasel1 there too, doing well to get back up and recover after his spin. But I'll tell you what, big winner out of this right now, if you ask me, is Jeff Brune.
For sure. Yeah, 3rd place, not what we were expecting to see from Jeff. He was starting further down the grid, but he's executed the strategy very well and finds himself in a great position in this race. Only Mitch Collin behind him, and he's actually chasing down Hasel1 currently. Right now, I think Mitchell Collin has the pace on him overall. By the way, that Aussie GTR25, that is Blake Durston, so we'll both try and remember that, but it is one of those things. Jeff Brune did qualify in... Oh, I just had it up and then I closed my information window. That was a mistake. Qualified in 11th, so he's up 8 positions in this race as a part of good strategy execution. Hasel1 sets the fastest lap at 58.7. Good pace there. Joe Rudinsky unmatched as yet, but setting more purple sectors is Mark Hasel1. He's on a charge. Question's going to be, can he hold off Jeff Brune, or will Jeff Brune lose the position to Mitch Collin, which may be happening sooner rather than later. They are rather close on track, but there you go. That's Expat as he heads through to the exit of Schumacher S's. Good so far. Some interesting strategy choices, Ando. Yeah, right now, I think obviously Joe's in a great position.
Yeah, he is. He didn't have a mistake, unlike Hasel1 in P2. If it wasn't for that mistake as he came out of the pits, he might be up there challenging Expat at the moment. His pace is brilliant. He's 3 seconds a lap faster than Expat, but he's just a little bit too far back to be challenging right now. But we've still got 1 pit stop to go, and if Hasel1 can keep these lap times up, he might be able to challenge. But yeah, Expat now, advantage to him. He is really executing well and keeping it clean. As we see Legendary Barry there, he's on the racing softs. He's filled up with fuel. Was he the driver that came out on intermediates, George?
He was, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why he is where he is, I think. Not the right choice at all to come out on fresh intermediates, because they will just get chewed up on a dry track straight away. And he is paying the price right now for that slight error.
He certainly is. A couple of drivers making some not ideal strategy calls early on in this. We're currently looking at the back of Blue Dog's car. And of course that, if I find the name here, I will. So Graham Splint. Oh, a little bit of contact with Marcel Albertin, but nothing untoward. Got rear diffuser damage at the moment, but a nice 3-way battle evolving here. Aussie Heat is the man on racing hard tires, and he's picked up another penalty. Had 3 seconds for cutting the white line on the pit exit. Now picked up 0.5 extra. So Aussie Heat not having the day out that he would have wanted. No, sorry, Aussie Heat is Blake Durston. I'm correcting. I'm going to have to correct myself here. We'll find Aussie GTR in a few moments' time, but a little bit of a send there, and big send from Blue Dog. Impressive that was, and makes the move on Marcel Albertin and makes it stick as well. Great work by him.
Yeah, he's obviously going to suffer in straight line speed there with that rear diffuser damage, but he seems to not be suffering too much in the corners, and great move, absolutely. But he's going to have that Porsche for company a bit now as they head into the final sector.
indeed. All of these drivers limping around the tracks. The two ahead both have damage, one on the front, one on the rear, as we see. Oh, Marcel Albertin send it in and not make any, not really make any gains, unfortunately, as a result. Aussie Heat on the hard tires will be trying a maneuver. Will he do a lunge? It's a little bit tentative. It's a bit hesitant. He's absolutely not slowed it down, and he's actually used the car on the outside to really slow him down and pull him through the corner. So he will redress that. He knows he's made a mistake, and he will redress that position. So good sportsmanship there. Just a little bit opportunistic into that one, Ando.
Yeah, the hard tyres maybe not even up to temperature yet, and yeah, very hard to pull up that Ferrari on the hards in that downhill heavy braking section.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So CP Motorsports, man, is Blake Durston. Apologies. And then I think it was Hayden Jones. So I'm kidding. They're both Ferraris, and then I mix up the colors. So it's my bad there. CP Motorsports. This is Aussie GTR Pro-Am. So this is Hayden Jones on screen right now. So my apologies to those watching. Decent lap times here. He's on the just broadcaster has just come on and told me that I'm a Ferrari hater. I'm not. Well, I don't hate the people who drive Ferraris, but I'm not a fan. Anyway, before we dive into that and open up a true swarm of wasps, and our broadcaster will promptly take us off air and swear at me profusely, I'm sure. But I'll tell you what, Aussie GTR Hayden Jones on the right strategy and challenging RPM now for a position. They are not in the same category. Pro-Am, of course, for Hayden Jones, but RPM in the AM category, and just stayed out too long. Now on the medium tires as well, so he's going to be struggling, but trying to make it to the end of this race. Probably needs to not challenge too much for these positions because you risk getting into a bit of contact, Ando.
Yeah, the track is still wet off the dry line, and very, very dicey indeed for slick tire runners. You've got to really still tiptoe a little bit the minute you start door banging with an opponent.
Exactly right. Love this view from the back of the Mercedes, and you can see the safety grid, the safety equipment in the car, as well as the rear wing. Love this view. Absolutely love this view. And RPM will be trying to hold off the cars behind them, but do it in a safe way. And we'll see if this works out for him. We did not see that work particularly well for my co-commentator today, Andrew Scott in Group A, but there is potential here. But I think really it's game on for Jack Finch. If he can put in the good lap times and not make too many mistakes, he will be on for an AM class win. And that'll secure him a whole bunch of extra points. He is the AM class leader as well. So I'm surprised when we've got Joe Rudinsky on quote unquote the right strategy. Why RPM is not executing the same one, I don't know. He really should have been on the racing softs, but sometimes it comes down to driver choice and what you feel comfortable, Ando.
Yeah, that's right. And the Mercedes does have a little bit of an opportunity to short shift a bit and save fuel. And if he keeps it clean now and looks after his tyres, he could actually make this strategy work. And time will tell. But Jack Finch is obviously his main rival today, I think, and he has chosen the side. He's going to pit again, but he's already got enough of a lead, I think, that it's going to be the superior strategy still.
Exactly right. We've just seen Joe Rudinsky come into the pits, so he will now be attempting to go to the end. 22 minutes to go in this race, and he's 6th overall, but he'll be rapidly catching up to the back of Jack Finch and Troy Britnell, who are going at it, by the way, both in the AM class. So this is a great battle for 4th and 5th. Troy Britnell, I think, has been out there basically since the start of this race, just plugging his way around the track. He'll be coming in for his pit stop in short order, I think. If we can have a little look at his state of his tyres and fuel, Troy Britnell, Brits Lightning, we'll see what's happening there. But it looks like there might be a penalty. There is a 0.5 second penalty. It's a track cut there for Jack Finch, not ideal. Racing softs. He's on the right strategy, and yeah, Troy Britnell has yet to pit in this race. Still on the racing soft tyres, so doing a very, very good Aster Racing Group A impression right now.
Yeah, definitely. But I hope he doesn't stay out too long. If he pits this lap, I think he'll be right to go to the end on softs. So he's holding up some rivals now as we see them get argy-bargy there. They're not happy at all, these faster cars behind him, and they've redressed. So a little bit of push and shove. They're all losing time here to their opponents because these cars aren't actually racing together. Britnell is not in a race with these guys. He's just holding them up, unfortunately. And he does. Does he come into the pits? Yes, he's in now.
Yeah, sensible move from Troy Britnell. And I think that was a little bit eager maybe from our race leader, Joe Rudinsky, when he does race amongst others. He's been so dominant in this that he's able just to go out there and set really essentially qualifying laps. But the few times he has been involved in the pack, it hasn't always been the cleanest. When he goes for a move, he goes for the move, and he is not apologetic about that. Certainly in terms of his, in terms of the racing, he's quite happy to send it on drivers and expect them to move out the way, and that's what we've seen there. Troy Brunel was already well into the corner, so they end up making contact. And then, of course, we had Jack Finch trying to make his way on through as well, and also got a bit untidy. And given he had a penalty, it wasn't actually a voluntary redress. It was just a mandatory one. He got forced out of the battle. Troy Brunel, it was a sensible idea to get into the pits then. He was really running out of tyres. And now we can refocus and get back on track, and Troy Brunel, and hopefully come out in a bit of clean air, put in some good laps. And he's in a good position. He's essentially saved an entire pit stop in this race. That's worked out well for him so far. The question is going to be where he filters out back on track. Our current race leader, Mark Hasel1, still holds the fastest lap of this race. And as said, he's impressed with the performance that his team boss is putting on in the season so far. And obviously very happy with the way that the team is run. And Mark Hasel1 does run a tight outfit. He's got my favorite number, 16, on the side of the car as well. So he's got some points in the commentary box, that is for sure. But outside of that, his strategy execution today has been very, very sensible. And he'll be coming into the pit stop shortly. He has stayed out a little bit longer than Joe Rudinsky. Joe Rudinsky decided to come in last lap, where I think we'll see him come in this lap. Yes, we do. That is a sensible choice. That is the right choice, Ando, and this sets him up well for a potential P2.
Yeah, he could make some inroads here into Expat, who I think is going to inherit the net lead of this race shortly. But yeah, Hasel1's times did drop off there a little bit. That fastest lap of the race, yes, very impressive, a 58, but then he slid out into the 2-minute 02s, and his last lap was a 2-minute 01, so he's given a bit of time back there, unfortunately, but now he's going to come out on fresh softs, and it could be a battle royale here with Expat for the win of the race.
Going to be very exciting. Through goes Joe Rudinsky past the finish line, and on the 16th lap of this race with about 18 minutes in hand or so, that's 9 or so laps to go in the race. He has got all the tyres and all the fuel he needs to make it, and you can see Hasel1 is still in the pits, so that is some distance. I don't know if Hasel1's going to have the pace against Joe to really catch up what is essentially a 4-corner deficit at this stage. Aussie GTR RPM still to pit. I think Jack Finch is still to pit as well, so we'll see them filter back into the order at some point. Legendary Berry in 6th. There's Jack Finch right now. Yeah, you can see he will probably... What do we think, Ado? I think his tyres will expire before the end of the race. I think he's going to have to do another pit stop.
Yeah, he filled up with fuel, I think. So he's got plenty of fuel, but they're just not in sync with his tyre state. I think he's going to have to pit again for tyres. Yeah, let's see. He could get the tyre whispering out and start to look after them, but those fronts don't look good, do they?
No, they look like they're going to be sending him into Understeer City very soon. Speaking of Understeer City, that is a braking zone that has been completely missed by RPM on the racing medium tyres, which are starting to lose their edge at this stage. They're not worn by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly in these conditions, they're certainly not optimal. We saw Matt Donetti attempt a stint on the medium tyres, but he ended up running short on that and switching back to the softs because they were so much more optimal in these conditions and will last as well. We haven't seen really too many people struggle on the softs until right towards the end of their life cycle. So the medium tire is what RPM is trying to execute here. He's running long, running deep. He doesn't need to pit again. So he's on a one-stop strategy at the moment, whereas everyone else around him currently on a two-stop strategy. So he's hoping that being slow at the end is going to, and keeping himself out of the pit stop for the second time is going to be enough of a delta in this race to stay ahead of Jack Finch, who we do know needs to pit. Again, same thing here for Aussie GDR. Hayden Jones on the soft tyres at the moment will run out of fuel before the end of this race. So that's his constraint.
I think so, yeah, George. I don't think he can get to the end, so he's going to have to pit again. But yeah, Jack Finch, very interesting. He's in P2 outright at the moment. And when he pits, where will he come out? So I think Expat's got this race tied up. Hasel1 there just too far back after his mistake to make any inroads into that lead. So I don't think a battle's going to ensue there unless Rudinsky makes a little boo-boo. Yeah, very, very unfortunate for Hasel1, who still holding on to that fastest lap today. So, by all means has the pace, but just that mistake was just too costly for him.
Exactly. Of course, as we all know, he put the power down on the exit of the pit lane in his first stop, sent the car into an oversteer spin, ended up on the wrong side of the track, backwards, and then also picked up a 3-second penalty for his trouble. Oh, big lunge there from Hogues down the inside line. Oh, that's Jeff Bruin. That's sort of Jeff Bruin making a beautiful lunge in front on Chip Berry, who's in struggle city today. He is not having a great time out there. The battle for third position overall and in third position for Pro-Am is between Jeff Bruin and Mitchell Collin. They're both on the same strategy. This one's going to come down to race etiquette, lack of mistakes, and speed.
Yeah, it looks like they've got exactly the same tyre and fuel state there. So ding-dong battle set up here to continue for the next, how many laps do you think are left, mate? 6 or 7?
Oh, something like that. We've got 15 minutes or 14 and a half minutes on the clock, so 7 would be a safe judge. Depends a little bit on how fast Joe Rudzinski keeps going in this race. Personal best sector 2 there for Mitch Collins. So he's on a flyer at the moment. Jack Finch jumping into the pits. The wind is a little bit stronger out here today for this race. It's potential to blow some extra rain in the last 15 minutes of this race. But as we saw in Group A, this stage of the race, the dry surface is available. It is there, and the curbs will be drying up at this stage of the race as well. So it gives them the opportunity to really push hard, hence why the Racing Softs have been the tyre of choice all the way through the grid. There you go, tyre changes now for Jack Finch, and he'll fill up on fuel, not to the full, about 60 litres or so on board for him. Where does he filter out? Filters out behind Mitch Collin and Jeff Bruin. It's about where he was originally, but critically, how much distance does he now have to cover, and how slow will RPM be going in this race, and will it be enough for Jack Finch to clinch the victory today in the AM class? We shall see.
Yeah, the question remains, can RPM get to the end? We were a little bit worried about his tyres, weren't we? So that is the question that remains, and if he can make them last, I think he's going to get the win today. But as we see him now, no, he has pitted. He's got the fuel and tyres to the end now, so he's sitting pretty, George.
Yeah, well, he did the one stop and has been on the medium tyres since about 31 minutes through this race, or 28, or it was around just after the half race distance he decided to pit. So he was the man who stayed out on the intermediate tyres till about lap 8 or so. And he's been on these racing mediums ever since he came into the pits from intermediate tyres. So the question is going to be, how much distance does he have? I mean, these lap times are not looking that bad, and if I'm being honest with you. 2-minute flats, that ain't bad, and consistently in that zone too.
Yeah, sorry, Joe, I just got myself confused there with who's doing what in this lobby. But yeah, RPM there, yeah, he might be executing a master strategy here. 2 minutes, 0.4 last lap. Let's see what he gets here. Is that a 2:01? So decent pace, and it looks like he's got a significant gap still. So he might be there pulling off a masterstroke.
Certainly might be. We're seeing Hayden Jones here. He will have to pit, so don't worry about him in this battle at the moment. He won't make it to the end, as far as we can tell, unless he really fuel saves. Mark Hasel1 will be looking to take P2 back. He's got a little bit of work to do to actually catch up to RPM. He will have the pace, as you can see. Fastest lap of the race just been set there, 1:57.8. So he's 3 or 4 seconds a lap faster on track than RPM. So almost guaranteed to catch back up to him in the next 11 minutes or so, and make that overtake for P2. But that doesn't change the overall category position. They'll both still be second. RPM will still be first in AM. Hasel1 will still be second in Pro-Am. Let's have a little look down the grid. Jeff Bruin. Let's have a little look at his lap time, see what he's able to be doing at the moment. 58 at the moment. Mitch Collin, let's see. It is 59, so he's falling slightly off the pace there. But then Jack Finch, this is the critical one. So he's just come onto his first hot lap. Let's stay with him for a full lap and see what kind of pace he's able to do, because he is probably about 20 seconds or so behind RPM. And this is the critical thing. How quickly is he going out on track? With probably only 4 or 5 laps left in this race, he's going to need to be at least a 4 or 5 second delta to the 2 minutes, or 2:01s, I should say, that are being run out on track by RPM. And I get the feeling that RPM may well have pulled a masterstroke here, because Jack Finch is going to have to be in the 56s for the rest of the race to make this work.
Yeah, well, he could be, and RPM's going to start leaking oil. His lap times are going to start dropping off, that's for sure. So I also think this could come down to the wire, mate. This could come down to the wire between these two drivers.
Yeah, certainly could. I mean, the racing medium's been out there since lap 8, so they are worse for wear. And these racing softs on Jack Finch's tyres are really, really fresh. So he will be able to push as hard as he likes to the end of the race. Oh, did you see that? He nearly slammed it into the pit entry barrier on the final corner. It was a pretty, it was an ambitious entry to the corner. Let's put it that way.
Flirting with disaster there, George. We all know what happens if you hit that tyre barrier. You come to a dead stop. So, yeah, he's really obviously going for it. Full send. I can't quite see the lap time there. I don't know whether that was an out lap. Maybe it was. So this could be his first flyer. He's definitely making inroads on his opponent here, but will it be enough? So that's the question. But we can't quite see, unfortunately. The game doesn't show the timing gaps between cars, so we can't quite tell exactly how far behind he is. But on lap 20, he is running out of laps now. He's got to be mistake-free. He's got to go full send. He's got to try and get down around that 57, 56 lap time to have any chance at all here.
Exactly right. Yeah, so it was a last lap 2-minute flat, 0.078. So not the pace that he needs. It was a red lap, so it wasn't an out lap, but yeah, it was definitely slow. He's up by 0.36 of a second at the moment. I think RPM may well have this. It's not super essential in the overall standings for AM Class that Jack Finch finishes ahead of Bob Massey. That is RPM. RPM is sitting in 3rd at the moment. So it'll be a really good sum of points here for RPM. This is critical for Bob Massey in his overall championship fight for AM Class, but for Jack Finch, finishing 2nd would still be good points and still sit him in the lead of AM Class overall. Here we go. Mark Hasel1 going to be making the move shortly on Bob Massey. So keep an eye here. RPM about to be overtaken. This will be easy, easy, easy. 3 easies. It's triple easy. And there we go. It's already happened. So Mark Hasel1, no, easy.
Yeah, I don't think he's fighting it either. RPM being very smart there. He's just going to sit in and enjoy the slip for a bit because he is looking after his tyres and fuel. So he knew that his battle wasn't with Hasel1, and he yielded to him quite nicely there, and he's going to try and enjoy his slipstream now for a few corners.
Indeed, yeah. Pit stop here for Hayden Jones. No surprise, we saw his fuel numbers were not quite where they needed to be to reach the end of the race. So that's the 2nd pit stop of the race for Hayden Jones. Overall, though, a good race from him. He's going to finish a bit out of position, I think, here today. So it's not quite gone his way. Chip Berry will be ahead of him. Of course, Pro-Am, or AM Class, sorry, for Chip Berry, who was right up at the top of this race. He qualified very, very well. Qualified in the lead of AM Class. It's actually something we didn't pick up at the beginning of this race. So Chip Berry had the pace today, but switched onto the intermediates after using the intermediates, and then unfortunately just did not go his way all the way through the rest of it. Troy Britnell in 9th at the moment. It's the teammate of the other Lightning Motorsport car out there today. Number 55, great driver, great man off track, great team leader, and making his way through in 9th position at the moment. Let's keep an eye on what's happening above. Richard Robinson, P8 at the moment for him. Some of the racing softs, yeah, he'll go to the end quite happily. Has set a really good fastest lap, personal best lap, 58.7. Current lap times are starting to fall slightly out of that at the moment, I will admit. Then P7 it is Hogan for Aster Racing, so the RCZ. Not doing too badly. Lots of potential there still. Jack Finch, last lap time, 58.9. It's getting closer, Ando, to where it needs to be, but not quite there.
Yeah, really hard to tell how far back he is from Jack Finch. From RPM. So really hard to tell, but it looks like, yeah, not quite there with the lap pace to make enough time back, because here we are on lap 21. There's only 2 or 3 laps to go. So RPM is looking good at this stage.
Certainly is. So this is the battle we're on board with at the moment. The Nismo GTR has got a big bar around the back of the windshield. So you are seeing a Mitch Collin slowly pop in and out of view. but that is the view that Jeff Bruin will be getting from the rear of his car at the moment, and Mitchell Collin is on to potentially overtake Jeff Bruin. So Bruin's got a bit of work to do. He's started in P11, remember. He's now up there technically in 3rd position. He will probably get past RPM in short order, but we'll see if they're able to catch up to him, as he is a fair distance ahead at the moment. So maybe a 4th overall for Jeff Bruin, but it will be 3rd in Pro-Am. So it'll be the probably one of the best results, I think, this season for Jeff Bruin, who's been going from, unfortunately, bad luck to bad luck so far this season. Got huge potential. We know he's quick in the GTR for gridline racing, but so far has yet to produce a result to match that pace. This is his day, this is opportunity, but we've got Mitchell Collin for Lightning Motorsport, who wants to take that away from him and finally put one of these amazing NSXs directly up onto the track. So Mitchell Collin wants a podium for Lightning Motorsport. He sees it right ahead of him. All he's got to do is overtake a very wide-bodied Nismo GTR to do it. So that's going to be the question. Look at his lap time, Zando. Super consistent. And that's a mistake for Bruin. Is there an opportunity for Collin? No. He thinks better of it for this time, but he's closed up the gap massively, and there's a potential into the chicane.
Yeah, he's settled into some really nice lap pace here. He did drop off from Jeff there at the start of this stint, and I thought it was all over, but he's rejoined him. And as we saw there, Jeff with a little mistake or two here and there, and he's got Mitch Collin for company, filling his mirrors right now, and this battle ain't over yet, mate.
This is going to be great. So we are 4 minutes away from the end of this race. That's going to be about 2 laps to go. Joe Rudinsky may get a 3rd in. We shall see. Mitch Collin right on the back of his Pro-Am competitor, Jeff Bruin. These two battling, both wanting some of their first podiums this season. Mitch Collin got great pace today. He's done really, really well. Fastest lap for him. His personal best of 59.1. Takes the alternative line through turn 1, now into the Mercedes arena. Jeff Bruin holding that apex beautifully. It's what he's got to do, and actually decides to get slightly out of it and almost tries to secure the inside line. Doesn't want to see Mitch Collin making that dive that we see oh so often into turn 3, turn 4.
Oh, that was...
Yeah, pretty scary. That was close.
Well, close to a penalty. I don't know how Jeff's avoided a penalty there, but cut a little bit too much off that apex, I thought, but he looks to be okay. But interestingly, Mitch Collin here on the worn softs, he's making life hard for Jeff, but when his tyres were fresh, he was dropping back, but something's clicked here with his rhythm, and he's coming back at Jeff hand over fist here, and I think he might be looking to force an error from Bruin.
Yeah, let's keep an eye. We'll keep an eye on that battle as we momentarily move away from Robinson. Just looking at the field here, Robinson, Britt Lightning, and Chip Berry, P8, P9, P10. As we see the window wipers go again, I wonder if there's a smattering of rain coming out onto the track at this late part. No, as soon as we go to the onboard shot, it completely changes. Thank you, GD7. Graphics issues. The particular camera shows something. We've got Schrodinger's car going on at the moment. That's what's happening. Aussie Heat is off the hard tires in this race, but now choosing mediums to the end. So not the strategy calls there today. He needs to talk to his engineer. He needs to figure out what's going to be optimal in these races, because at the moment that wasn't the ideal. Marcel Albertin also massively off the pace today, just not comfortable out there for Black Rose Racing on the back of Blue Dog. So let's keep an eye on these guys. But overall in this race, with only 2 minutes to go, we're probably heading on to the final lap of the race. So we'll keep an eye. What is happening up with that battle for 3rd position is what we want to have our eyes on at the moment. It is Jeff Bruin and Mitchell Collin locked into that battle as we scroll up the field, and there we go. This is going to be the battle to the end of the race, the main one that we're focusing on. RPM is probably a couple of corners now, not far ahead. Is that rain? No, surely not. That surely is something. It is rain! It is now officially raining at the end of this race. Wow. Talk about a spanner in the works here. We've got the flood is happening, and oh, this is going to be so difficult for the drivers. Worn slick tires, and it is pouring with rain in the first part of the Mercedes arena. Looks like it's gone dry again here in the middle part of the sector. Yes, it has. So rain is coming in across the circuit, Ando. That is a real shake-up.
Yeah, there could be some mistakes here that happen as we see Collin right on the hammer of Jeff Bruin here. The water meter's not that bad. It's still favouring slick tyres, so they should be able to get through here error-free. But Collin runs wide there. That didn't help his cause, and he's lost a bit of time there, but now he's coming back at Bruin. and Bruin's tyres are looking worse for wear now also. And this is going to be a move possibly into the last chicane from Mitch Collin. He looks to have the pace, George.
Yeah, it certainly does. That was a moment there for Jeff Bruin. Big understeer into the Schumacher S. As Mitchell Collin tries down the inside, we've got a yellow flag ahead as well. Someone is off track. Who is it? It might be Mark Hasel1 because he has dropped back underneath RPM. Yeah, Hasel1 is right here as well. We might get some off-board shots in a few moments' time. 10 seconds to go before the end of the race. And Mitch Collin has made the move. Jeff Bruin looking all sorts of out of shape throughout this last part of the race. He's going to send it into the chicane. Jeff Bruin wants that third position. He runs deep into the corner. Mitchell Collin follows him off, and Jeff Bruin's been reset. The game has reset him. He's hit the wrong part of the track at the wrong time. Jeff Bruin loses out right at the end of this race. Expat probably has come across the line for an extra bit of lap there, final lap. And Mitch Collin has spun. Mitch Collin has spun around at the end. And Jeff Bruin gets the position back from him. We are on the final lap of this race, but time has elapsed, and that's going to be it for these drivers. Mitch Collin's going to lose out to Hogs as well and goes from a potential third place down to P7 in this race. What an unbelievable scenes we're seeing at the end. Jack Finch moves up to 4th overall, 2nd in AM class. Hasel1 has finished. Expat is on a victory lap at the moment. RPM finishes unbelievably in 2nd place with Mark Hasel1 making a mistake. The weather has brought in a complete set of shenanigans at the end of this race and thrown well and truly the cat amongst the pigeons. What an unbelievable finish to this race. And only Joe Rudinsky now needs to make it to the end of the race. He just has to get round. No stress, no worries about the time. He's completely safe. But I can't believe it. Jeff Bruin does secure 3rd position in Pro-Am, 5th overall, losing it to Jack Finch, who's probably sitting there wondering what on earth these Pro-Am drivers were doing.
Oh, Jeff Bruin, they must have thought he'd clutched defeat from the jaws of victory there by running deep into the last chicane and getting reset. But so did Mitch Collin. He didn't get reset, but he ran deep onto the grass also because the rain just came in that last sector to the point where they were all over the place. They were all at sea, so to speak. And then poor old Mitch Collin in the last corner manages to do an about face in his MR car. That must have been a handful, that last corner, but absolute disaster for him as he hands the position back to Jeff.
Unbelievable. Joe Rudinsky will win the race, and I'm not sure. We'll have to maybe check if Jack Finch and Mitch Collin made contact at the end. Let's head to our results screen. We'll see you over there. Oh, Group B. Every single time throughout this entire year of broadcasting, I have given this big at the end of a Group B or Lobby B or Division 2 race. Always action to behold. And we got that today. Last few laps had rain come back to the circuit after it had been dry for so long, only at parts of the circuit, but it was enough to really throw things to the wind. And here are your Pro-Am results. Joe Rudinsky wins the overall race convincingly, only one to do a victory lap here today, 35 points to his name and extends his lead in the Pro-Am class. Mark Hasel1, a good drive overall, but nearly lost actually 3rd position as well. I think he made a late mistake. Let RPM through on track as a result, but 2nd overall. Jeff Bruin, 3rd position that we weren't expecting after the game reset him in the chicane. He ran deep, tried to send it on Mitch Collin to reclaim 3rd position overall, but Mitch Collin, whether it was by contact with Jack Finch or whether it was on his own accord, he's absolutely cooked it into the last corner. Was probably celebrating a little bit too early on that one and finds himself losing out to Jeff Bruin for 3rd position. Mitch Collin still one of his best results of the season, though, in 4th position. Richard Robinson 5th, Hayden Jones 6th, Marcella Burton and Blake Williamson not able to race out there today in Pro-Am. Let's take a look at our AM class results. And that was absolutely brilliant. And AM class, Bob Massey, the 2 Mad Turtles in Pro-Am and AM have been really doing the work to push this team along. And that is why Mad Turtle are still in the lead of this championship. Their big battle, of course, with Hooncorp Esports starting to cool down somewhat as we barrel towards halfway through the season. Jack Finch picks up P2. That's good for his overall AM class title championship potential. He's still leading AM class, but 2nd today. Then it is Mark Hogan in 3rd position, Chip Berry in 4th, 5th for Troy Britnell, Graham Splint in 6th, Blake Durston in 7th, and Ben Blaker not able to make it today for Hasel1. And of course, the extra points you see there for Bob Massey and Jack Finch and Hogan as a result of finishing ahead of Pro-Am drivers. That is how things work in this league. So it's very, very critical for Bob Massey that he finished in second overall ahead of basically 90% of the Pro-Am field. So that's why he's got 41 points to his name. Big, big day for Bob Massey. Big day for Mad Turtle Racing. Jack Finch just trying to hold on to what he could. All right, Ando, break it down for us. Give us your driver of the day. We'll put the results on as you need it, but break it down for us there, because there was so much happening in the strategy. And then the rain at the end. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, wow, it was a really exciting end to that race. Unfortunately, the rain gods did not smile on Mitch Collin, who really should have claimed that position, but it was Jeff that came back after being reset. And wow, he's had a climb up through the field, hasn't he, Jeff? He's had a day out. So Joe Wadinsky, once again, very clean race, claims the win. He's a cut above, clearly. Joe Barber, I think we're going to start calling him from now on. But my driver of the day, I think it has to go to Jeff Bruin. He's made a massive climb up through the field there, because I think he started down around 10th or so, or even worse. He didn't have a great quali, but somehow he's come up through the field and driven really well today for a P4 overall, an outright P4. My driver of the day goes to Jeff.
Absolutely. I think we'd be rethinking that should he had he not retaken third position. But it was an attempted lunge at the end there. I think you got to respect it from a racing point of view. You've got to respect it. He needed that third position. He wanted it. He took the risk. He sent it. Mitch Collin followed him off. Mitch Collin still had the opportunity to slow down and get through the chicane normally, and then he may not have been under pressure from Jack Finch in that last corner. But I think I have to agree. Jeff Bruin, it was a great drive today. Up 8 positions. Well, technically 7, because he finished 4th overall, so 7 positions gained today. But in terms of his potential in the Pro-Am class, and after a real string of bad luck in the previous races, I think he's done a really, really good job today. So 2 votes for Jeff Bruin. Let us know in chat who your driver of the day is. We'll see who ends up getting it. But I think Jeff Bruin's a really good shoo-in for driver of the day today in Group B. Absolutely fantastic stuff here in Group B. You love to see it, and what a round round 4 has produced for us at the Nürburgring. The wet conditions bringing the action all the way through the race, multiple different strategies, multiple different people making it up to the top of the pack, number of familiar names and faces dropping to the back of the pack. That is what racing at wet circuits does, and we're excited to see what happens. Let's bring up the calendar, because we're going to, next week, a fantastic circuit for our half race season, and that of course is Circuit de Spa. Not a place devoid of rain. We may have some rain there as well. Ando, you may be able to correct us. Are we predicting rain for Spa, or are we getting dry conditions there?
It is touch and go, 50-50, mate. I think the rain is definitely about. The weather report is out, and I think there's just a chance it might stay dry.
Okay. I was really hoping for 2 wet rounds in a row. That would have been an excellent way to get us towards the half-season distance. Ahead of that, once we barrel into that next part, we are, of course, going to Interlagos, then Watkins Glen, Daytona, Autopolis, and then we're finishing out, of course, back here in Australia at Mount Panorama on the 9th of December. So long way to go in this season. Still another 6 weeks of racing after this one. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening in to the broadcast today, brought to you by Trackspot TV. Check us out on www.trackspot.tv. It's been myself, George Cook, and Andrew Scott in the commentary box with John Wright on the tools in the background. It is, of course, the Player1 Sim Gear GT3 Championship here at MotorMotion E-Series. Go and check out our primary sponsor, P1 Sim Gear, at p1simgear.com.au for all your sim racing needs, or if you're doing window washing, or if you're making farms in Farm Simulator, if you're flying planes, Soft Flight Simulator X, or whatever it is that you do, go and check them out. They have all the gear that you could possibly need or want for those hobbies and activities. And a big thanks, of course, to MotorMotion E-Series as well. Go and check out all the latest news and articles and sign-ups and information about next year as well on not only their website, www.motormotioneseries.wordpress.com, but also on their Facebook groups, where all the live photos from the current season are being posted, and the Discord, which they've brought up recently as well. And a massive thanks to you. Final couple of words, and we'll round out the stream today.
Thanks. I don't know if everyone knows, but I'm in Singapore at the moment, so I might sound a bit different than I usually do. And I've had my technical issues here in my hotel room, but I hope it came through okay, the broadcast. And once again, pleasure as always to work with you guys. I had fun today. It was real exciting stuff.
Indeed. Thank you so much for jumping into the commentary box all the way from Singapore. So we've got a man broadcasting from Scotland. We've got me commentating from New Zealand and Andrew commentating from Singapore. Truly global operation we have here at TrackSpot TV. Nonetheless, thank you all so much for watching here. Season 3, Round 4 is done. It's behind us. And Round 5 at Spa ahead of us in a week's time. Same place, same time. Until then, have a fantastic rest of your week. Thank you so much. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.